Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hello, everyone. Happy, what day is it? Wednesday. So sorry I didn't stream at 5 p.m. today. I promised I had planned to, and then I was like, this is way too much streaming because we are tonight, ladies and gentlemen, gathered together for the second time this year for the GOP clown car debate live stream. We're going to be doing a little pre-gaming. Joshua is going to join us in about 20 minutes. We're going to watch some Fox News. We're going to watch some MSNBC. We might even watch some CNN. We're going to get a sense of what the pundits are saying. And then, of course, at 9 o'clock, we are going to zoom right into our live reaction stream for the GOP clown car debate, the second debate, which, was anyone even eliminated from the first debate? Did anyone not make it into the second debate that was in the first debate? I don't even think so. I haven't done a close comparison of the list, but it should be a good night. Of course, I am supporting Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek is the only person that I actually think is competent. And is only... Oh, Asa Hutchinson. That's right. Wah, 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 wah. Well, that was always a fool's errand to begin with, if we're honest about it. But I am supporting Vivek Ramaswamy. I think many people in my chat are probably also supporting Vivek Ramaswamy. But we're going to see what goes on. Is Ron DeSantis going to have another he did okay last time. DeSantis didn't suck last time. Of course, Vivek won the first debate and it wasn't even close. I want to see Chris Christie have a moment. And by a moment, I mean I want to see Chris Christie act like he's from New Jersey. I don't know. I would like Tim Scott to say something. I would like Nikki Haley to take it down with the warmongering, just possibly several notches, as many as several. But I think it's going to be an interesting night, guys. We are going to enjoy some pre-game fun time. We're going to talk to Joshua in about half an hour. Joshua, of course, is my co-host for Nothing Remotely Controversial on Tuesdays. He is a professional psychic. And Joshua has taken the time to actually run the astrology charts of all the different debate participants. So he's going to use astrology to try to predict who's going to have a good night, who's going to have not so good of a night, who has the advantage, stuff like that. If you don't like such things, if you don't like psychicking and tarot cards and astrology and you think they're tools of the devil, well, then what I need you to do is to not watch the show between 8:30 and 9 p.m. and then you can come back after we do the psychic stuff, okay? But we have a good time with it. We think it's fun, and I don't care what you guys think. I'm not going to hell because hell isn't even a real place. We're going to do our astrology and psychic fun time. If you don't like it, you can go watch something else, okay? Tayton said, everyone drinks if Vivek says nuclear family. Yes, I will be drinking. I have a lovely, or as many as 4 lovely in my little cooler. Sam Adams Oktoberfest, and I can get some more if I so needed, which, maybe it'll be a good night, maybe it'll be a bad night. We'll have to see. But I'm going to be drinking Oktoberfest today. Why would I waste any time on James O'Keefe at all? No, 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 no. James O'Keefe is a narcissistic grifter. I wish Vivek Ramaswamy hadn't been sucked in by him. But I know why Vivek is doing it, because James O'Keefe has a lot of people who worship him for reasons beyond my understanding. And so Vivek is being a politician on that one. But whatever, I'm not spending any time on it at all. Although I will tell you this. Breaking news, kind of. This is unofficial. James O'Keefe is going to be on Tim Pool's show next Friday. I may be doing a watch party with at least 2 members, former members now of Project Veritas, a former journalist, and Matt Tiermont himself, the guy that is blamed for all of the hullabaloo of Project Veritas, may be joining me for a watch party next Friday to watch James O'Keefe on Tim Pool. I'm still working it out. Don't tell anyone, okay? It's not like I'm live on the internet right now or anything. But I'm trying to work that out. There may be some other people that join as well. There may not be some other people that join. It might not even happen. We're going to have to see, but I'm trying my damnedest. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, we're talking about beer and astrology and presidential candidates, folks. So I'm going to be drinking Sam Adams Oktoberfest, which if you are looking for a good fall beer and you've never had Sam Adams Oktoberfest, I'm not even sponsored by them. I'm doing this because this is a phenomenal beer. And if you've never had this beer, this is a good mass market beer. This is about as good as it can get for a mass market beer. Sam Adams Oktoberfest is one of the best beers that is released all year from any brewery. It's really effing good. I highly recommend it. For those of you who drink I know no one drinks Bud Light anymore, but like Coors Light or Miller Light or anything light, really, except for American Dad's conservative beer, because that's a pretty good beer too. You want to make sure you try Sam Adams Oktoberfest because they're really, 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 really good. I feel like I live in this world where everyone I know knows that Sam Adams Oktoberfest is amazing. And so I usually don't have to say this, but a lot of you guys on the internet don't know. So cheers, guys. Happy debate night. We're going to have a great night. How many carbs? Laura, beer doesn't have carbs. What are you talking about? Beer has no carbs, has no calories. It is completely guilt-free. Yes, it is in the right. Well, I have a regular Sam Adams glass. This is the Sam Adams specialty glass made by the brewery. And what's cool about this glass is the glass on the bottom is thicker. So you're supposed to hold it by the bottom because that keeps the beer cooler longer. You don't hold it by the top because it's thinner up here. So you hold it by the bottom, keeps the beer cooler longer in the glass. Cheers. Exactly, bot. Beer is like water. It has no negative side effects at all. All right, guys. So we're gonna do a little pre-gaming. Let me see. I've got some Kate. Let's tune into MSNBC. Let's see what's going on MSNBC real quick. Let me get it up on the screen. That's always good for Clown Car Re. Naruto, hang on, I gotta be able to hear this. Are you ready for your streaming service bills to skyrocket? Streaming services, Minutes, Apples, and Google formed a lobbyist group. What could go wrong? Oh, that's great. That's great. Thankfully, my husband works for Comcast, and so I get all things for free. I mean, I guess I don't get the streaming services for free, but I do get every cable channel for free, which is pretty great. Rottweiler says, beer is liquid bread. It's exactly, beer is healthy. Beer does a body good. Everyone loves beer. Bot says weed is like air. Exactly. It's like, exactly. I feel like everyone's on the same page tonight. I think this is a good idea. All right, let me turn on MSNBC and let's see what's going on there.
Thing that undermines our national security. Tuberville's like me. I'll be your guy.
Excellent.
And he is now doing that. He's got
how
10
MAGA
minions who followed
Republicans
him to
turned
vote
against the
CT
U.S.
Brown.
military.
And
They're not
every
even
day
talking
is
about the
something
debate.
new that undermines our national security. It hurts our troops. It hurts our morale. Our enemies are celebrating. Vladimir Putin loves this. But there's also the political side of this.
All right,
this
let me
is
get into
driving
Fox
the
News.
GOP
Is Fox
further
News
and further
doing
away
anything
from
about the
America, and
debate?
especially from independents like me. I've called this the Confederate.
You're not an
wing of the
independent,
GOP.
bro.
They
You're
want
a
to preserve the
Democrat.
military of 2023. They want to create the Confederate Army. They want to take us back to the 1800s. They don't understand
Fox News
this
is talking
modern
about
world, and
Trump.
they're fighting.
Let me see what's going
And
on
we've got to fight
CNN.
back.
Yeah, I mean, to follow on that, and I'll come back to you in a second, General. Just the idea that
watching MSNBC is like peering
you and I
into
are
an
around the same
alternate
age,
universe.
right? And,
It's
and
like
obviously you served
a universe
during
of
that
insanity.
part of that period, that intensely fraught period, right?
CNN is talking about the debate. They're talking about Nikki Haley.
And about 6 points ahead of
CNN
him.
is very pro Nikki
That could
Haley,
signal a
apparently.
difference, but
No one
there
should
is-
be surprised by that. Nikki
underscore,
Haley
there's
is a
no
warmonger.
historic evidence of any candidate overcoming such a significant lead of what Donald Trump
To be
has.
clear, Nikki Haley has slipped ahead of DeSantis in some New Hampshire
Thank you,
polling.
Naruto, for the update.
She's still in single digits in the national polling, but I do agree. I think that
Nikki Haley
look,
ain't winning nothing.
to be
And the fact that so many
nominee, you
Republicans
have to beat
support
Donald
Nikki
Trump. To
Haley
beat
is
Donald Trump,
very
you have to beat all the
disappointing.
other people and
Republicans,
become, as
very
John said,
disappointing.
the singular alternative to Donald Trump. DeSantis's whole campaign was premised on that he was that guy, and now he is fading. I think
Nikki
they're
Haley
try
is a warmonger.
and accelerate that tonight.
I don't
and
know
I think
who
Nikki
needs to
Haley,
hear this.
by virtue of her performance last time, will warrant more attention. The worst thing in politics is to be
Nikki
ignored.
Haley was a Karen last
She's
time.
earned the right not to be ignored, and she's going to be tested tonight.
John, you just got back from there. I mean, you spent a lot of time in New Hampshire lately.
In both Iowa and New Hampshire, there's no question Trump is ahead. What gets fascinating, and we'll watch these candidates tonight, one of them is trying to convince Republicans, I have a chance to beat Donald Trump. I am the alternative to
Like
Donald Trump. That's the
Vivek?
challenge for all these candidates. Yet,
You mean like
Iowa,
Vivek?
about 60% of the electorate in the caucuses will be evangelicals. Watch for Governor DeSantis, Tim Scott tonight, to go hard on the abortion issue, a little bit even at Donald Trump, saying he's backed away. Yes, he gave you the Dobbs decision with those Supreme Court justices, but now
Oh
he's
God! If
gone soft on
Republicans
abortion.
go
What does
full
Nikki Haley
on
do?
pro-life,
She's trying to be more of a moderate. She says she's pro-life.
seriously,
She's like, let's
F
not judge people. Let's not
them.
get in women's face on this, because she wants to take back the suburbs.
Republicans
So you have
just
a
never
conservative
learn.
electorate in Iowa, a more libertarian, not a liberal electorate, but a more libertarian electorate in New Hampshire, where abortion is much less of an issue.
Hey, at
Do
least
these
he knows it's
fractured
more
candidates
libertarian
now
in
to
New
try to
Hampshire. I
find
got to give
a
him points
place
for
to make a
that.
statement? Do they run one campaign? Someone's going to try to win Iowa. Someone's going to try to New Hampshire. If nobody catches Donald Trump, the fracturing and the state-by-state strategy helps Donald Trump.
One of the interesting strategic questions is, should you focus on trying to differentiate yourself from Trump, or should you focus on trying to differentiate yourself from the other contenders on the stage? Chris Christie will clearly continue to go after Trump, and he's made
Chris
some
Christie's
progress
so
in New
bitter.
Hampshire, but he's very unpopular among Republicans. What do the others do? I suspect they're going to be focusing on each other, which is another reason why Trump
And
doesn't
how
want
much
to
of
do
that conversation, forgive me real quickly, how much of that conversation does the Fox panel allow?
And Audie, who you
You think
I'm going
conservatives
to be
listen to
interested in
Fox?
seeing Tim Scott. He staked
They
out a
think
ground of saying,
conservatives
like,
listen to
look, if it
Fox.
was me, I'd want to fire all of these auto workers. That's a weird line to walk in this moment when you're going to have the front runner out making a speech trying to show support for striking workers. I'm interested in Nikki Haley as well. But to your point, I think fundamentally you're calling it a fracturing. There's some incoherence to what is anybody's lane. What do you represent, right? If you can't beat up on Trump because that is verboten, who are you and what do you want? And what do you offer a voter? And I don't say that as opinion, but actual analysis. It is, I have not understood.
What is
out of
Trump doing
the
tonight? Does
past
anyone
debate
know?
or
Is Trump,
even the
does Trump have an
dialogue
activity?
after, what a coherent alternative to Trump theology, ideology is out of the Republican Party.
Audie Cornish, John King, David.
I mean,
Axel,
that would
Melissa
be
Bard Griffin. Thank you.
Vivek
We'll see
Ramaswamy.
all of this team for our post-debate coverage, along with Dana Bash Coming up next, Senator Bob Menendez and his wife stay in court.
All right, that appears to be the end of what CNN's talking about tonight. Just so you guys know, I will probably stay on. Joshua probably won't hang out, but like I will probably stay on after the debate and just flip through the channels and see what people are saying too. So we'll do a little debate after party. I'm not sure how long I'll go, but I will do a little bit of that. Let me just refresh my other channels. Guys, as are just to let you know, if you just joined, a couple things. Number one, please make sure you mount that like button for me. Mounting the like button lets people know to come and join us on the stream here. I am live right now on YouTube, Rumble, and on Twitter. And those are the three platforms I think I'm going to be streaming on from here on forward. I'm cutting back on platforms just because it's a lot and it takes up a lot of power on my computer. And those are the three platforms that people watch on. So thank everyone who's watching me over on Rumble. Appreciate you guys. I've got the chat pulled out so I can see what you're chatting in. I'm also on Twitter and YouTube, obviously. Please make sure you mount that like button on whatever channel you're watching on. Please make sure you are subscribed. Also, please make sure you download your GOP debate clown car bingo. I'm popping that over in the chat on Rumble. You just click generate card, and every single card is different, and every single card has different words, and there are more words than can appear on one card. We got our free square in the middle, and then we're going for lines or we're going for corners. If you get a bingo, shout out bingo in the chat. You don't win everything, anything at all, rather. But we will give you a hearty round of applause. And then, of course, we can go for blackout bingo after that. We will see how many bingos we get tonight. I also do want to remind everyone to please make sure you are subscribed to my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Again, that is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. I got a new feature on the Substack where I'm starting to load these things in the video vault. I got 3 of them loaded right now. And basically, these are clips from my streams because a lot of people have requested for me to do shorter clips where people are breaking down socialism and different things. And I do clips, but they mostly live on my YouTube channel for reasons, and people find those hard to find. They don't exactly know where to look for them. I probably should have a better playlist than I do, whatever. But now I have a dedicated section of the Substack that is purely dedicated to video clips, and they're always going to look like this, like how to speak socialist at the top or another topic from the video vault, whatever. And they'll say video vault in the title, so you know that this is a video that you're going to be able to watch that's like a couple minutes long. 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. I'm really not going to go that long with these clips because I want to give you guys like really succinct things that you can watch that answer different questions. So far, we have 3 videos in the video vault. We have every time you hear whiteness, think capitalism. We have how socialists plan to have kids after they abolish the nuclear family, which is terrifying. It's terrifying. It's called collective reproduction. And then we have why leftists and socialists look odd. Hint, it has to do with queer Marxism. So I'm trying to make these really practical, trying to break down the woke ideology very quickly for people who don't like reading my big long articles that I do in like the woke 101 section where I've got a lot of stuff. I've got the woke mind section where I've got a lot of stuff. But not everyone likes to read. I probably should be posting more episodes of my podcast. I know. I can only do so many things at once, okay? But the video vault should help that out. Also, tomorrow, we have a supporter-only spy stream. Naruto just joined the channel as a member, so Naruto is going to be invited to the supporter-only spy stream. He says Fox News is so dead, and people don't even realize it. No, the lefties on CNN and MSNBC don't. But tomorrow, guys, around 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish, we are doing a supporter-only spy stream. So I'm not going to be doing a public stream tomorrow. We are doing supporter-only. And what we're doing is we're infiltrating a live woke training, and we're going to watch it, and we're going to talk about it. And this is available to people who are paying supporters on my Substack, paying supporters on my locals, paying supporters on my Patreon, paying subscribers on my Twitter, or YouTube channel members. What's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to send out information about where you can join the supporter-only spy stream. This is not going to be about librarians like the last one, okay? It's going to be about trans rights and right-wing fascists, to give you a little bit of a preview of what it's going to be about. But I obviously can't tell you what it is because word might get back to the people I'm infiltrating that I'm infiltrating them, and we don't want that. Snitches get stitches. Okay, no one spill the beans, because you spill the beans, you ruin it not only for me, you ruin it for everyone else too. That's why we're having a supporter only stream. So we have a trusted audience of my best supporters. And if you want to get access to that and other supporter perks as well, head over to my Substack and you can sign up for $8 a month or $80 a year. Again, you can also sign up on Locals, Patreon, Twitter subscriber, or as a YouTube channel member as well. All of those are available, and I will be posting the link to the supporter only stream tomorrow, and we're gonna have a great old time. Promise. All right, let's dig back in. Joshua should be joining us pretty soon, but let's just check and see what else is going on. Let's tune into MSNBC real quick. See, if I like to watch it off screen before I show it to you guys. Oh, they're talking about Trump on MSNBC. I know we're all shocked about that. Let me look at Fox News real quick. Fox News is talking about Philadelphia something something. All right, let's tune into MSNBC because MSNBC is a good clown car.
Shan Wu is a former federal prosecutor who served as counsel to Attorney General Janet Rito, and he joins me now.
They're celebrating that
Shan,
Trump
maybe we can
lost
start
on
before we get
January
into this
6th.
of just what the
Because
what the
MSNBC
standard
is
for
convinced that
recusal
Donald Trump is going
I
to
imagine
jail. I
it's
wish they
gotta
were
be
doing more
relatively
debate
high,
coverage.
right? I mean,
Is
you
CNN
know,
doing
the
debate
system
coverage? Let
works
me
in these
see.
sort of random assignments of judges.
Or did they
and
move on to a
generally
different
that
topic?
You kind of get the judge you get.
Yep.
So what is the
CNN is
bar?
talking about Bob Menendez.
It's a pretty high bar, Chris. It's the clear and convincing standard, which is actually the next highest to the highest one, which is beyond a reasonable doubt in criminal cases. So it's a very challenging standard. And as you say, it's challenging for good reason, because if you made it very easy,
I haven't even been
then you
following the
would
Trump
really
stuff. I don't even
encourage
know what's
judge
going
shopping,
on
and
there.
that's what the court system does not want to do.
Now, the reasoning here was the argument by Trump's lawyers is they basically zeroed in on things she said at sentencing in 2 other January 6 trials. My understanding is there's actually pretty bedrock Supreme Court precedent on this. And there's a bunch of other cases that they cite in their brief that are judges saying things in public appearances,
Oh wow!
the press, and
the judge just
Chutkan
like
seems to be
this is
focused
how
on saying,
Trump
look,
lost.
those
The
are
judge
not
was
germane,
like,
right?
nah.
We're talking about what I said at sentencing.
That's exactly right. And the precedent really talks about how
That's
judges
it.
who are speaking within the courtroom, that speech is particularly
Why would the judge
scrutinized with a high
recuse
bar, as
herself?
opposed
Like,
to
this is
making
completely
public
predictable.
pronouncements which might be deemed to be prejudicial. And also the precedent zeroes in on whether the court is speaking about this particular defendant seeking recusal, and she did not
An
address
OJ
it
and
to
Rumson,
Trump's
that's an
guilt
unorthodox
or
choice
whether
for a
he should be
drink.
charged. She was addressing
Guys, we're
arguments
pre-gaming right
made
now,
by
waiting for the
those
debate to start. We're actually
defendants
waiting for
trying
Joshua to join
to
us, but we're trying to
lessen their
find a
guilt,
channel
saying they're
talking about the
influenced
debate like they should
by
be.
others. So the idea that, as the court sets out in their order, that simply suggesting that the court may have been suggesting that, that really is very, very far from meeting this kind of standard.
Yeah, we should just. I mean,
Fox
just to give
News
the
is
context
talking
here,
about
right?
riots in
she's
Philadelphia.
At sentencing for a defendant named Christine Priola, who's found guilty for her role on January 6th. She went inside the Capitol. Her lawyers asked for leniency, arguing that Trump and his inner circle had convinced the election had been stolen. And she writes in her opinion, the court did state the former president was free at the time of Priola's sentence, an undisputed fact upon which Priola had relied for her mitigation argument. But it went no further. It being the court there. I didn't say anything else. The defense purports to detect an inescapable message in what the court did not say, that President Trump is free but should not be. What's interesting here to me is you've got the judge before you. You file a motion that contorts her own statements. Like, she knows the context of what she said. It's a wild thing to do.
Yeah,
to
Trump's
try to
lawyers
wrench
suck.
out of context.
Chris Hayes
statements
isn't
by the
actually
very
wrong
person
here.
to whom you were filing the order.
Chris Hayes is making a good point.
Especially because
Fox
that's
Business
always
has
the
it?
person who is the
Okay,
initial
hang on. I'll fill
finder
Fox
of fact
Business.
and law.
Hang
There is the
on.
very person you're trying
Stand
to recuse.
by.
And it's interesting because, you know, most lawyers
Fox
may talk about, oh, you
Business,
don't want to
where
seek to
are
recuse the judge. You may
you?
irritate them some. That is true. But I think the bigger risk for these Trump attorneys is by following kind of Trump's lead and making this
on.
very
Fox
weak, attenuated
Business.
recusal argument. What really hurts them isn't that Judge Chutkan is going to get mad at them. She's a very fair jurist. I used to practice with her when she was a public defender. No, the problem is they're going to lose their credibility.
All right, let's go over to Fox Business because they might actually be talking about something having to do with the debate. Thank you, Kristen. Here we go.
It doesn't matter what your race may be. I hope the candidates address this tonight. I've been urged my own party to think about this very differently. So the most fundamental thing you can do, he talked about it, Reagan did, security and safety.
Yeah.
And they got to talk about that tonight.
I just want to go back. Martha, you heard Harold Ford. You know, who's going to go back to this tonight? Who are you thinking about?
Well, I think you're going to hear probably from Nikki Haley about this. I think that we all know that the suburban mom vote is extremely important. What you've seen is in a lot of the suburbs, you've had car theft and all of these issues that are bleeding out from the cities. And
fucking Republicans are going to vote for Nikki Haley over Vivek Ramaswamy. Are they insane?
And I certainly
of course they are.
I'm sure that you're going to hear these
snatching victory or defeat from the jaws of victory.
Well, because this is
yet
very
again
important to people. When you look at the independent vote, it swung, 10% in the last election against President Trump. In the prior election in 2016, he won that independent vote by 10%. Those are the places in America, the suburbs of Philadelphia, the suburbs of Detroit, where there are voters who are persuadable.
I don't know. How much? We don't have too much time. We got 10 seconds left. I'm just going to leave it there, Martha McCallum. We got a very hard break. I think it's a key point. I thank you for going through it. We got our panel here, and we're going to go simulcast in just a moment. So let's take a break. We are live from the Reagan Library in Simi Valley. I'm Kudlow. We will be right back.
That's
California,
a nice set.
welcome our
Very
viewers
light.
on the West Coast.
Very
Hold on one
California. All right, guys. Well, Joshua should be joining us soon. They're going to commercial. I'll just check in on the other news stations to see, while we're waiting for Joshua to join us, I will check in on the other news stations to see if there's anything going on over there. Oh. Fox is doing something. There we go.
Voters, why they deserve to be commander-in-chief, among other things. Coming up as we count down to the debate, we're going to talk to Brett Baier, Kellyanne Conway, Karl Rove, Harold Ford Jr., Martha McCallum, Laura Ingraham, Brett Hume, and Bill
So they basically, they're Fox News and Fox Business are simulcasting now. I'm tracking. Okay, I know what's going on. They're airing the same stuff.
I'll make it quick, Larry. The candidate walkthroughs are officially over. We've seen them strolling around the property today. They've all been getting ready for this debate now in their own unique ways. Nikki Haley's campaign telling me she's been listening to music, and they expect she's going to have a target on her back tonight after that last performance she had in Milwaukee. She's been surging in the polls.
You mean when she lost to Vivek?
Ramaswamy's team telling me he worked out earlier today. He's been playing with his kids. They expect him to get into a couple scraps tonight. They say don't be surprised if that happens. Governor Ron DeSantis' team telling me expect him to lean in on his conservative record tonight and hone in on a theme of reversing the decline of America. The bottom line here, somebody has to do something to shake this race up. Donald Trump is blowing everybody out of the water in the polling right now. Somebody's got to step up to the plate and start chipping away at that lead he's got. If they don't, Trump is going to run away with this thing. So is somebody going to have a moment tonight? We're going to have to wait to find out, Larry. We'll send it back to you.
All right. Bill Melugin, thank you very much. We have Sean Hannity still ahead on this hour. He will show up. No, he's right there. Look at him in all his glory. Sean,
has Sean Hannity gotten more gray in like the last 6 months? Am I crazy?
Terrific guests coming up. Tell us about it.
We do. Well, it'll be post-debate. Right after the debate is finished, we'll have all the candidates. To my right, the governor of California has been holding court with. He'll join us tonight as well. Maybe a little preview of that state versus state, red versus blue debate that we'll have coming up pretty soon. Look, I just want to echo a lot of what I've heard you guys talking about before. There's a lot at stake for all these candidates on that stage tonight. They're coming into an environment, and maybe some of them have been complaining that, well, why isn't Donald Trump here? In my view, they ought to be glad because he takes a lot of oxygen out of any room that he happens to be in. And by far, he has been running away with this poll for the nomination. And so I'm pretty sure
thank you, Joshua. Sorry.
A lot of effort.
Joshua is here. I was dicking around and Joshua was here. Thank you. Hi, Joshua.
Hi. Happy second Republican debate.
I know. Guess what I was playing with?
What were you playing?
I got a new iPhone. I got a new iPhone.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so glad you did this after Mercury went direct. Very good.
Well, Victor made me. Victor was like, Carlin, they're giving really good deals on iPhones. I was like, I don't want one. He's like, oh, well, but you should get one anyway. And I was like, okay, Victor, if it makes you happy, I'll get an iPhone. And I was like, Victor, do you want a new iPhone? And he was like, yes. But to be fair, he needed one. He really did. Naruto says, there was a line in, I don't know how to pronounce that, last night that hit me hard. Impatience for victory will guarantee defeat. Why is that so true, Joshua?
Oh, that's so true. Well, I think that it's just the balance of the universe. Like when we're impatient, they're like, well, we're going to slow you down just so you can learn patience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that especially when manifestation for anything, it's like it's all about process. And if we learned anything under Virgo season, it's like fall in love with your process because, and this is actually really important, the North Node is in Aries. Okay? That means collectively.
Good.
Yes, exactly. It's very good for you, actually, because the South Node is in Libra. So we have to use our Libran gifts of tact, diplomacy, compromise, etc., to get ahead like Aries. Now, Aries is the athlete. And you know what Aries also has to do with?
What?
Speed.
Oh, yes, because I like things fast. I want them
so do
now.
I have Mars in the first house, which gives me aspects of Aries. I also was raised by an Aries. So I get that. But we have to be fast. But the thing is that when we're fast, that doesn't mean that we can give up quality. So that's where process comes in and efficiency. If you have your process down pat and it's streamlined, you're going to be fast and it's going to be excellent. So it's all about process. Yeah.
Well, we need to refocus. We're not doing spiritual stuff right now. We are focusing on debate clown car shenanigans. And Joshua, I am to understand that you have astrology charts for our debate participants.
I do. I sent you a PDF.
Oh, you sent it to me.
I did.
Okay, hang on.
It's a big PDF. I don't know why the files are just so massive.
I need to open it. Hang on. You know, you can open this on your computer as well and share it, but I'm happy to. Just give me a sec. It's going to take a minute to download.
I don't know why I always have an issue sharing on your StreamYard.
It is weird. Oh, okay. I see an email from you. Hang on. It's loading. Gosh. Guys, everyone, mount the like button for Joshua arriving.
Button, please.
Look, Joshua, you're blue and I'm red. It's like politics on the screen.
Ooh, oh my goodness. I didn't even realize
I need to be on the right and you need to be on the left. There we go. There we go.
Oh no. Will you change it? Will you change it?
No, I'll change it. Did you uncomfortable on the
I don't know why. Well, yeah, it's your show. I mean, it's your channel. Do you know what I mean? I think you showing up first. And you're also the Aries, so
I guess
you showing up first is really ideal.
Okay, this PDF is taking like 3 years to download.
I know. I don't know why that does that, but
I'm keeping an eye on it though. Well, just give us some general overview predictions while we're waiting for the 9,000 megabyte file to download.
Okay, so just like last time we had our Republican debate, the moon was in Scorpio and we had a Pisces rising. This time, the second Republican debate, we are also dealing with a lot of water energy. We have a Pisces moon at the time of the debate, and Pisces will be ascending, rising. So it's going to be very, very watery. Those who have strong water in their chart should do well. Also, people with strong Virgo, because you get Mercury placed there right now. And I really thought Libra would run away with the race, but not too many of our 7 candidates have much Libra in their chart, actually.
Really?
Some do.
Who does?
Let me see which one.
It's still downloading. It's taking 8 years.
When I reflect back, I think who was it? Well, there's sextiles to Libra, which is really, really nice. That the guy, what is his name? I want to call him Gus. He's not Gus.
Gus?
The white guy, tall, boorish. What's his name?
Doug.
Yeah, Doug has a lot of Leo in his chart, and that's actually jibing really, really well with the Libra. DeSantis, when we look at...
Got it.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
Got it. Hang on. It's opening now. Bot says, did you get the dog pic? Yes, Bot. I got the goddamn dog picture. Do not chainmail me, please. Thank you. All right. Let's get this up, and we can start going through. Hang on. All right.
Yeah,
Joshua, you did debate colors and everything.
I did debate colors and I did a grading system this time because I was like having trouble differentiating between like, okay, well, what is this actually saying? Who's going to do better? So this was my guess astrologically.
Oh, why did apparently my Adobe Acrobat updated, but here we go. Okay, we're here.
You see the rising Pisces. Can you see my cursor or no?
No, I can't see your cursor. This is on my screen, so you only see my cursor.
I see. So
which one is the Pisces?
The ascendant? Yeah, right there where the fishies are. Yeah, exactly. And then you have Neptune right in the first house. I mean, it's very, very, very watery. And Neptune fuzzies things. So things are going to be perhaps confusing. There might be Mercury is also still in its shadow period until Saturday. So, there is going to be a little bit of confusion most likely.
All right. Well, let's go through our what's this? Oh, you already said that. Okay. DeSantis. What is going on with DeSantis?
He should be a good debater when we look at his astrology chart. He's a Virgo. And you have Mercury really close to his sun, I believe. So Mars, though, is detriment in Libra. So he's best when he is defending something. If somebody comes at him, he's really good at taking them out. Right. Tonight, I would give him a B-. You got to remember the moon is in Pisces. That's opposing his Virgo planets, though it's not opposing his sun. So that is good for him. He has his moon. The moon ascendant tonight is opposing his Virgo planets, but not his sun. And Mars, though, is in Libra, and that's where his natal Mars is. So that's good. That's going to give him a little bit more get up and go. And you also have that Mars is making a harmonious sextile to Venus. So believe it or not, he might be more attractive tonight.
Well, I mean, as long as he doesn't do that weird smile thing that he did last time.
I think that he's a Virgo. So Virgos are smart. They like to learn from their mistakes. They certainly hate making mistakes, so they make sure they learn with them. What's interesting is Venus, we don't know his time of birth because, of course, he didn't give it to the world. But it looks like he has a moon in Aquarius, right? Mm-hmm. So Venus is in Leo, and it looks like that might be opposing his moon, which points to a conflict with a female. Which
the wife. What?
I would say Haley tonight.
Oh, I would say the wife, but okay.
maybe it's her. Maybe it's her. But yeah. So I don't know. I would think that tonight. Although I gotta say, we'll get to Haley, but I mean, her Venus, her feminine energy is being restricted by Saturn, so she's not even. There are more chicks on this stage tonight than her, essentially.
Yeah.
Plus, she's a Capricorn. I mean, how?
Nikki Haley has very masculine energy tonight. Nikki Haley's going to be basically a big swinging dick tonight, is what you're saying.
Well, the thing is, Nikki Haley has had Pluto on.
Let's just fast forward. We'll go past Vivette. We'll fast forward to Nikki because we're talking about her anyway.
Haley has Pluto, the planet of destruction, on her sun, and it's been there for a while. So she's been going through it, right? She's been really just chiseled down to her core. So she's a Capricorn. I'd like to think that this didn't destroy her because Capricorns are tough and they know what they need to do. But sometimes what happens is they overdo it in trying to be really strong. And then what happens? They get arrogant and then they fall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I feel like she's actually going to do well tonight. Pisces moon we have tonight, and she has her moon natally in Pisces, it looks like.
Well, CNN really likes Nikki Haley, and apparently MSNBC does too. So it's like anytime the Democrat channels really like a Republican candidate, like it gives me pause. Also, Nikki Haley's a warmonger, so maybe if she takes the warmongering down a notch or two, that'd be pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, Saturn is really close to her Venus, so her charm, her femininity, her attractiveness, Venus, is going to be hindered with Saturn there. But it's, she has to get used to it because Saturn doesn't move too quickly. Chiron is on her Mars, which is really interesting. So Chiron is about woundedness. When it hits Mars, it brings back old stuff. You might actually see her, and I think that she did this last debate, get more emotional. It's sort of like, when you start crying over laundry and you're like, well, this is obviously not about laundry.
Yeah.
You're not in touch with the fact that it's not about laundry. Like you're really upset about the laundry.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. When you think you're upset for something when that's really not the something. And I think that we saw that last debate and we may see that again, especially with that moon in Pisces. I mean, her moon is in Pisces, sure, but that could make her 2 Pisces. And for a debate, you do not want to be Pisces. You want to be Virgo, Virgo, Virgo.
All right. Let's go back up. And next we're going to go to Vivek. Obviously my favorite. How's he going to do tonight?
I think that he has fair chances of doing well, though he has some challenges. Just like Haley, Pluto has been, affecting him. But also, we do have his time of birth, so he is recently getting out of an 8th house transit, which parallels Pluto being on Nikki's sun, right? It's Nikki's influence with Pluto is longer term. This one for him is about 30 days. So both Nikki and Vivek are going through it. So we'll see how strong he is tonight. Again, I would say that when it comes to, both of them have strong Capricorn. He's a Capricorn rising, actually. So that's going to make him
That makes
strong.
sense. That makes actually a lot of sense.
Yeah, but the thing is that you get a lot of planets. We get Venus in Leo, and he has a lot of Leo in his chart. So that's going to make him likable, attractive. But Venus is also going to square his Saturn. So he might not seem as serious as he ought to. However, long-term influence, Jupiter is on his north node of destiny. Jupiter brings luck. So he's going to go further, most likely, than anybody would have expect. I think he already has.
He is on his path.
Yeah, exactly. And the moon square is Mercury, though, tonight. That is challenging. So he may overtalk and have to walk something back.
All right. Tayan wants to know, Joshua, what is your favorite zodiac?
I have to say Sagittarius.
That's just because you have a lot of Sagittarius in your chart.
And like 95% of my friends are Sagittarius. It's so weird. It's very strange. Yeah.
All right. You would get along with Victor then.
I'm sure I would. I also have a strong amount of Virgo in my chart. So probably.
You and Victor, should you ever meet, are going to be best friends. And that's going to be very odd for me.
Shooting buddies.
Yeah, exactly. Victor will take you to the range. It'll be great.
That'll be great. That'll be really good.
All right. How is Doug going to do tonight?
Doug's going to do better, I think. He has fair chances of doing well tonight. Venus is in Leo, and that Venus in Leo is hitting all of his Leo planets. So he's going to be extremely charismatic, I think. Also, it's interesting. I think that with the injury he had last time, that could be, a subliminal push for sympathy, and it could actually be advantageous to him having that injury. Remember that last time?
Mm-hmm.
And then the sun in Libra is actually making a nice sextile to his sun in Leo. So that's giving him even more charisma. Neptune, however, which fizzles things out, that has been on his Mars for 3 years, and it's going to be there until summer. So he's not going to do anything. He's not going to make much traction until fall 2024, which
would be a little too late because the nomination will have already been done by that point. Poor Doug.
Yeah. So he has this long-term influence that's really fizzling out his fire.
But he has a reality TV show online, apparently, about him running for president. So that's good for him.
I think that's really good. That makes a lot. That's the perfect use of his Leo planet. Reality show. I love it.
All right. Next up, Chris Christie. Is Chris Christie going to do A-? You're giving him an A. He's got the best grade so far.
He does have the best grade. And this is even with the moon in Pisces tonight and the ascendant at the time of the event opposing his Virgo planets. I mean, it's not an exact opposition to his sun, but there's a lot of other things that are going really well for him in the chart tonight. Saturn is soon going to be on his Jupiter, though. Okay, so Saturn restricts, so he's not going anywhere. Like this is not. It's not practical for him to. I mean, obviously, it's practical. He could write books, he could do TV shows, but let's just face the music. He has no chance of winning at all. No. And even if we didn't know that he had Saturn in his Jupiter, I think that that's kind of common sense.
Why do you think Chris Christie is running? Is he just like pissed off and he wants to bitch about Trump? Is that like the only reason he's running?
I think that he's a practical person, and I think that he knows that that's the next practical step for him in his career. He's a Virgo. He has a Scorpio rising. I think he's going to want power. He's going to want as much power as possible. And, with the way he does things, he probably believes in his competency.
All right.
Sun and Mercury are in his 10th because we actually do have Chris Christie's time of birth. So Sun and Mercury in his 10th is really good. The 10th house is how the world sees you. And with Sun, he's going to be big.
Well,
and Mercury
yes.
is going to be big. I totally forgot.
Obviously.
Obviously. Venus is in his 9th house, which pertains to public speaking. So I think that he might, believe it or not, be more likable. However, Pluto is square his Venus, so that makes him polarizing, even more polarizing than he normally is. I mean, with a Scorpio rising, he's going to be polarizing no matter what.
All right. Kino says Trump's going to win the debate. Everyone is placing second. I saw someone today refer to this as the vice presidential debate.
Ooh, that's clever.
I was like,
I
oh
agree.
man, that's good. All right. Oh, Mike
should stay home.
He really should stay. He should have stayed home last time too.
He is a good debater. So I mean, astrologically, it's just he has a bad run of luck this season. Last debate, Mercury was retrograde. He has like a shit ton of Gemini in his chart. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, but if you just take the aspects out of it, he's really a good debater. I mean, he's really probably smarter intellectually on a debate level, like being able to counter and use logic, than anybody else on that stage. He should realistically do better than everybody else. Mm-hmm. But with the aspects, it's really underwhelming. The Pisces moon tonight and the rising are going to clash square with his sun and his Mercury, which is the planet of communication. So it's like really awkward. And then Saturn in Pisces is also clashing with his Venus and Mars. So Saturn's like he just, no matter which way he turns, there's like no way out. Like it's like wall. You know what I mean? So
is he going to be a dick, do you think? Or is he just like not going to do anything of substance?
Well, I think last time he was a dick. And I think because he's a smart Gemini, he probably got called on it and will probably overcorrect. So I would think that he'd have the wherewithal to know not to be a dick because he's Gemini. And I think that the temperature after he was a dick last time, I don't think that was good for him. So if he's intelligent, he will not be a dick because he would learn from his mistake last time. But there is a lot of dick potential in this, in his aspects tonight for sure. So he could. Uranus, though, Mars. So we got Venus and Mars. Jupiter is squaring his Uranus as well. So there is like this acting out or this sense of surprise, or however. So he might be acting out in some way, or he might be somewhat surprised. He does have on his side Mars and Libra, and that's empowering his Mercury and Gemini, but that's pretty much it. If he gets... I mean, I think he's pretty removed. I think that it's a matter of Gemini, you got the devil and the angel. If he plays angel, he'll go well. He'll do well tonight. If he plays devil, I think he's screwed because that just doesn't work for him.
And I think he's probably going to try to play devil because like he needs to make an impression. He needs someone needs to stand out and do something tonight. So he's going to try something. And I don't think it's going to be, I am the most innocent person on this stage and I am benevolent and all this. I don't think that's going to be it.
But he was so abrasive and unlikable last time. I'm sure he got notes on that. Don't you think that with his intelligence, he would say, okay, I might want to take this into consideration?
Yeah, but I also, sorry, but like, I think that he's going to have to need to like balance that with like, I need to break out of the pack in some way.
So there it is. There it is. But is the transits right now in terms of what's going to be going on during the debate, are they going to help him to have that malleability and flexibility? I mean, normally, yes, because all of this Gemini is a quick study. I mean, he knows what he needs to do, but I feel like these forces against him are very antagonistic. And I feel like I just can't, I'd be very surprised if he does well. And if he does, then he needs props because he's dealing with a lot of nonsense.
Prometheus says, mother probably told him to tone it down. It's true.
I'm sure that's true. Yeah.
All right. Next up, Tim Scott, who you thought was going to do really well last time and was just kind of like a dud.
He was. It
was so disappointing because Tim Scott's like not a dud. He's not.
No, he's not a dud. I don't know what happened. It was almost like he was on Quaaludes last time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw him on The View really school the cast, and he was excellent in just being really logical. And he does look like he would be a really great debater. I think last time the big thing was he probably didn't want to become too aggressive because with his placements, he has Pluto and Uranus all together with his sun in his chart. Like he can come on too strong. I think his being a dud last time may have to do with him not wanting to be the angry black man, not wanting to like intimidate. He is the only black man on that stage, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that maybe he again overdid it with holding himself back, but he should do better tonight. The moon and the ascendant are in Pisces. That flows really well with his Scorpio planets, but it also opposes his Virgo planet. So that, I think that he is very, very serious, and I think that he's really good at zoning in and knowing what needs to be done and implementing it. So I think he's going to do well tonight. Jupiter in Taurus is also harmonizing really nicely with Uranus, Pluto, and Mercury. And Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, making it the ruler of tonight's chart. So I think he's going to do very well.
Cool. Then that's it. You have some other stuff you want to promote, Joshua, before we get into the debate?
Yes, absolutely. So tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having Aries full moon horoscope.
Oh, yay. I should go to that.
You should. It's at 1 p.m. East. It'll be probably about an hour. We'll go through every sign, and we'll also we'll actually do personal readings too, if you wish.
Ooh.
So yeah, if you want to send in a super chat, $5 plus, we'll do a personal reading for you as well. And even if you don't get that, you'll have a lot of fun and seeing what's up for your sign or rising sign.
That's quite a deal. And then you've got a class starting tomorrow night. I understand. I'm taking this class.
You're taking this class. I'm super excited about this class. You've heard of the law of attraction, but what about the law of gender?
It's not about being non-binary.
No, it's not about being non-binary, but there's the law of rhythm, the law of vibration, the law of polarity, and you're going to learn all about these laws and how you can apply them to manifest your wishes. So it's a game changer class. I do think it takes a lot of guts to go because you are going to be relearning things and playing with the universe in a different way, and it'll bring you most likely lots of fulfillment. So that starts tomorrow. psychicsun.com/classes if you want to sign up.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I will be in the class, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. I definitely recommend everyone make sure you subscribe to Joshua's YouTube channel and join him for his classes if that's your thing. I definitely recommend it. Everyone can get something out of it. It's okay. Kino says, if Tim Scott doesn't come out crip walking well in Cali, I ain't voting for well. That's a little racist, Kino, but thank you for the super chat. All right. We have 4 minutes left, Joshua. Before we tune into the debate stream, do you have any like, who's your favorite? Who do you think is going to win, and then who do you want to win?
I would say out of all of them, I do like Tim Scott probably the best. I think I believe that he would do a good job. I would feel safe with him running our country. DeSantis, I think, is just too dark for my taste. Like, I feel like he's just evil. I don't have much confidence in Vivek. I'm sorry. I feel like not only is he young, but I feel like, comparing him to Barack, I feel like Barack, I believe he probably was older at the time, Barack, when he ran. And I just felt there was more of a natural authority. I don't like his glib demeanor, Vivek. And I don't think that that's something that's going to make me feel safe as the leader of our free world, right?
All right. So you think Tim Scott's going to do really well, and you just like him?
I really like Tim Scott. Yeah, I like him probably the best out of all of them for president. And I think Pence is going to probably take a nosedive. And I think Vivek is probably going to have moments of like glory and then moments of like, you kind of shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean?
I hope he does. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, my pick is Vivek on all counts. You are wrong about him. He is amazing.
Okay.
You're wrong. We don't have to agree, but you're obviously wrong.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I hope you have a fun debate. I have to run, as you know. But
oh, you're not staying? I thought you were staying.
I wish I could. I'm like over work. I have so much to do. I'm very behind. I haven't even cleaned my house up yet. Awful.
Oh, well, I guess we're going to stay here and drink and watch the debate without you then, Joshua. Fine.
Yes, but you know what? I might actually keep it on in the background. So if I hear anything, maybe I'll text you.
You'll text me and I'll give a Joshua update.
Yeah. I think that would be cool. That's sort of like the balance of the situation, because I really wish I could see it. So.
All right, fine. Well, thank you for stopping by and doing astrology charts.
Thank you for having me. Have a lot of fun, everyone.
All right. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Gosh, gotta remove it. There we go. Now that Joshua's gone, we can actually have a real conversation. All right, let me tune into Fox News. Let me see. This is where they are going to be. Yeah, I think they are going to be hosting it here. Okay, hang on.
Surreal, and that the former president, depending on the poll, is leading by 30, 40, 50 points. So this is an effort to be the alternative at the end of the day, the man or woman who's going to stand up
You want to
against
come on,
the former
Keno?
president at the end.
I'll
But
invite
right
you.
now, he has a
If you
commanding
want to
lead.
come on, you can come on.
Karov, he's got a commanding lead. How does that influence this debate? I'll put
Hang on,
that to
Keno. I'll
maybe
DM you the
elephant in
link if
room.
you want.
But Mr. Trump has a commanding lead. Period. End of sentence. Can that be beaten right now? What's your take, Carl?
Well, look, he is the front runner, and by a lot. But the problem for that is twofold. I think he emphasizes too much. He's in the lead, raising expectations. And second
You
of
wouldn't
all,
say anything
look,
if you
voters
came
like to
on.
have a contest, and they like
Guys,
underdogs.
please do make sure to
And
mount
if they
that
see
like
something
button, get your
attractive
bingo
over the
cards
course
ready.
of
We're
these
going to have a
2 or
great
3
old
or 4
night.
debates, that could be a problem being absent on the stage. Everybody on the stage in the first debate saw their favorables go up. Everyone saw the percentage of the people who said, I'm open to voting for him rise. Only one candidate in the Republican race saw both of his
Keno,
numbers
I just
drop in that
DM'd
regard,
you the link.
and
You
that
can
was
come
the guy
on.
who was absent from the first debate.
I hate to go this is the national anthem. I think I hate to even talk during that, but unfortunately, that's the exigencies of President watching. Kellyanne Conway, we got a couple seconds left. So I'll give you the last word. Your bet on tonight. Go ahead.
Sure. I think Trump is casting himself still as the underdog, underestimated, and the front runner as well. And he hovers very big here, even if he's not here. I want to hear from everybody. What would they do differently than Trump did, or what would they do the same, just with a different style? Is the wall, Ukraine, crime, economy?
Got it,
Give us
Jen.
something different.
Got it, Joe. Kellyanne, thank you. Appreciate it. Carl Rowe, thank you very much.
Good luck
Harold,
to Dana Perino.
Brett,
tonight.
thank you. Good luck to Dana and to the others. Thanks for watching, folks. Second Republican primary debate starts right now.
High in the hills of California's Simi Valley stands a monument to one of the most beloved leaders in our nation's history, Ronald Reagan. The Gipper, the great communicator, America's 40th commander-in-chief. He railed against big government.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
And sought peace through strength.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
40 years after Reagan's landslide re-election, the Republican Party faces critical questions.
Does
What
it
does
ever?
it mean to be a conservative?
We fight for the truth. We are not going to worry about what the left and the media say about us.
What is the key to a thriving economy?
It's innovation, not regulation.
America could do for anyone what she's done for me.
We will stop the spending. We will stop the borrowing. We will
I
stop
DM'd it
the
to you,
earmarks.
Keno.
What is America's role in the world?
We need to build a military fitted to the
DM,
lightning
Twitter.
challenges in an ever more dangerous world.
Sometimes you avoid war by showing you're tough.
And the country faces even more challenges. Would Reagan even recognize the country in which we now live? Tonight, candidates seeking the Republican nomination converge in California to chart a new path for the grand old party. Now is the time for choosing.
Welcome to the second Republican debate of the 2024 primary, live from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
What is
in
this
Simi
guy's
Valley,
accent?
California. We're inside the spectacular Air Force One pavilion, where the stage is set for a
Oh,
showdown.
that's cool. That's actually really cool.
I'm Stuart Varney of Fox Business.
Oh,
and I am
Stuart
thrilled to be
Varney.
sitting alongside my co-moderators, Fox News Channel Dana Perino and Ilya Calderon, Univision.
Good evening. Thank you, Stuart. President Reagan famously described America as a shining city on a hill. And tonight, 7 candidates will make the case they should be the one to lead that city into a
There's
brighter
Vivek's
tomorrow.
wife in the red.
But first,
That's
they
Vivek's
have
wife in the
to
red
convince
behind Dana
you,
Perino.
the voter.
Keno's here.
Allow me to welcome our
What up, Keno? How's it going?
Hey, thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it tonight.
Yeah. Can we turn the mic down a little bit? Do you have that?
No, I don't.
That's all right. We'll manage. I'll turn you down.
And good evening.
Edit mic
so
settings.
let's meet the candidates who have qualified and chosen to be on this stage tonight.
They are positioned by the order they rank in the polls, with
There
the
we go.
highest
Say
polling
something.
candidate in the middle. Standing center stage,
You know, say
Florida
something.
Governor Ron DeSantis.
Is that better for you?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
That's all good. All good.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yay!
All right, let's see what you got.
It's South Carolina, Senator Tim Scott.
Did he come out walking or not?
I don't know.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
Oh, Jesus, it's a walking hamburger.
On the wing tonight, former Vice President Mike
Boo!
You know, I'm rooting for the fly to land in his hair this time
and
around.
North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
Oh, Doug is looking spry tonight.
Those eyebrows, though, damn.
That is a cool
Yet
set.
today our
It
nation
is.
is
Come
drowning
on.
in
Yeah,
division
like,
and incivility.
They literally
Voters
presented their
say
piece
they
out on the
dread
table
the
like elephant drum
2024
style.
election and
So-
find politics exhausting. 2 in 3 Americans think the country is on the wrong track, and 3 in 4 say the economy is not in good shape.
Prices are up 18% since 2020. More than half of the US population has little access to childcare. 85% of Americans say their personal finances are a source of stress.
Yeah, no shit.
Americans want to believe a leader who says, "You can follow me. I've got you. Don't worry." President Biden is trying to do that with Bidenomics.
And yesterday, he joined the picket lines where auto workers are demanding more wages and job security. Senator Scott, you recently reacted by praising Ronald Reagan for firing air traffic
other
controllers
abuse.
in the 1980s, saying, "You strike, you're fired." Would you fire thousands of striking auto workers
Yes.
today, Senator?
Obviously, the President of the United States cannot fire anybody in the private sector. However, we should look back at the first bill in Congress under Joe Biden. The first bill had $86 billion for the union pensions because they continue to overpromise yet underdeliver. One of the challenges that we have in the current negotiations is that they want 4-day French work
Sound is
weeks,
awful.
but more money. They want more benefits, working fewer hours.
Is it me
That
or
is
you're in?
simply
No, it's
not
them.
going to
It's
stand.
them.
I sat in a finance committee hearing when a widow came before the committee who was promised pensions from the unions, $4,000 a month. Unfortunately, it had been cut to $1,000 a month. We must make sure that we honor the commitments that we make. And one of the ways that we do that, do not overpromise and then underdeliver and leave the taxpayers on the hook. I'll say this, Joe Biden should not be on the picket line. He should be on the southern border working to close our southern border because it is
That has nothing to do with the
unsafe,
question,
wide
Tim.
open, and insecure,
Biden
leading
is
to the
like
deaths
antibody
of
compromised. He's going to get sick if he goes to the southern
Americans
border.
in
Ain't
the
no way
last
he's going to
12
go to the
months
southern
because
border.
of fentanyl.
Right.
It is devastating. Every county in America is now a border county because fentanyl has devastated Americans in every single state. I will also say 6 million illegal crossings since Joe Biden has taken
He's just
office.
going all over the place.
And
Tim
he eliminated
Scott's like, I'm going to
Title
answer my
42.
own question.
The one thing he should
I
do
got ADD and I'm
is
even
finish
lost. What the
wall,
hell's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
reinstate Title 42 and get the job done.
Well, I can promise you that we are going to have a lot of questions on the border and immigration. But in the meantime, we do want to talk about the economy and jobs, and especially want to talk about this strike for just
Dana
a moment
Perino's
more.
like, stay
Mr.
on topic.
Ramaswamy, you've said you really empathize with the strikers. You're standing next to Senator Scott. And do you agree with what he said, or do you think he's wrong?
I agree with some of what he said, for sure. I like the spirit of it. I'll say that I don't have a lot of patience for the union bosses. I think that's where he and I actually have a common view. I do have a lot of sympathy for the workers, however. People are going through real hardship in this country. I've been through hardship growing up. My father stared down layoffs at GE under Jack Welch's tenure at the GE plant in Evendale, Ohio. My mom had to work overtime in nursing homes in Southwest Ohio to make ends meet and pay off our home loan. So I understand that hardship is not a choice. But victimhood is a choice.
Yes,
and we choose to be victorious in the United States of America. You know what? If I was giving advice to those workers, I would say go picket in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. That's really where the protest needs to be. Disastrous economic policies that have driven up prices, that have driven up interest rates and mortgage rates. At the same time, wages remaining stagnant. What we need is to deliver economic growth in this country. Unlock American energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy, put people back to work by no longer paying them more money to stay at home, stabilize the US dollar itself, and rescind a majority of those unconstitutional federal regulations that are hampering our economy. That is how we unleash American exceptionalism. And that's not a Democratic vision or a Republican vision. That is an American vision that we embrace economic growth, and capitalism is still the best system known to man to lift us up from poverty, and we should not apologize for it. That's what it means to be an American.
Absolutely.
He just won the debate.
Capitalism.
It's over.
Capitalism for the win.
It's over. He just won the debate. It's over. Nice seeing y'all, everybody.
General Motors,
I feel like
Ford,
Vivek's
and
been reading my
Stellantis
tweets about
make
socialism.
336 times the number of number of rank and file workers. That's just part of a wider income inequality trend in the country. The richest 1% now controls 1/5 of all income. Vice President Pence, last week you said you side with American workers, but you also support how these companies operate. Which is it?
Well, thank you, Christian. I want to thank Univision and Fox Business for assembling such a wonderful forum. Look, I do disagree with something Tim Scott just said. Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line. He belongs on the unemployment line. I mean, look, I'm from the second leading manufacturing state in the country per capita. I was governor of the state of Indiana. We brought 12,000 factories back to America during our administration. I know something about manufacturing. And I got to tell you, while the union bosses are talking about class warfare and talking about disparity in wages, I have to tell you, I really believe what's driving that is Bidenomics has failed. Wages are not keeping up with inflation. Auto workers and all American
Mike Pence
workers
is looking
are
old and
feeling it.
haggard.
Families are struggling in this economy.
What's up with these conservative
Much natural light.
New Deal agenda.
They just need to let a gay man with a can of moose touch their hair for
Detroit. We ought to repeal the Green New Deal, get rid of the mandates and subsidies that are driving American gasoline automotive manufacturing into the graveyard. And beyond that also, as President of the United States, I'll be standing with workers all across America, and I'll be standing for the right to work of every American to join a union or not join a union as they decide.
Senator Scott, you were mentioned. Will you care to respond?
There's no doubt that Joe Biden needs to be fired. That's why I'm running for president. I look forward to being the next president of the United States. I will also say, I know America can do for anyone what she's done for me. It's why we're focusing on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting the America we all love. Growing up in a single-parent household, I wondered if the American dream would work for a kid in the inner city. I've got good news for every single child, whether you're in the inner cities of Chicago or the rural parts of Iowa. America and the dream, it is alive, it is well, and it is healthy. God bless these United States of America.
That was already better than Tim Scott did in the last debate, so I'll give him that.
I think we need to look at exactly what happened. Biden showed up on that picket line, but why are those workers actually there? It's because of all of the spending that he has pushed through in the economy that's raised the inflation. So when you look at the fact that we are paying higher gas prices, higher grocery prices, $7,000 more a year for families, what we need to do is I came out with an economic plan, eliminate the gas and diesel tax so that they have more money in their pocket. Let's focus on going after middle America and cutting taxes for middle America and collapsing those brackets. Let's get rid of unfair distortions like the state and local tax that they give to wealthy people in blue states and paid by red states. And let's make sure we make the small business taxes permanent. They only made those temporary. They made the corporate taxes permanent. Let's focus on what it takes to get more cash in the pockets of workers. That's when we'll be able to deal with strikes like this, not sitting on a picket line like Joe Biden is.
Thank you, Dr. Haley. We have other questions to get to about economy. Allow me to.
I just have to, I'm sorry.
Allow me to.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in because we're missing the point and every other network is missing the point. The reason why people are striking in Detroit is because Joe Biden's interference with capital markets and with free markets. The subsidies, we're subsidizing the automakers and we're subsidizing the cars and a particular kind of car, not every car. We're subsidizing electric vehicles. And when you decide that we're going to take all of your taxpayer monies, take $1 billion, subsidize a certain type of vehicle, and the batteries come from China. China controls 85% of the rare earth minerals. They're called rare earth because they're measured in parts per million. China is moving 100,000 pounds of earth in Indonesia, in Africa. They're literally destroying the planet so that they can make a battery that's in a car subsidized here. That's why they're striking, because they need 2/3 less workers to build an electric car. Joe Biden, this strike is at Joe Biden's feet.
That wasn't bad, actually. I gotta give it. That was not bad.
I got some information about the electric cars. We'll talk about that in the break.
Follow question to Governor Christie. The government will shut down if Congress does not reach a deal by the end of this week. Vice President Pence warns that politics of, quote, Trump's populist proteges, like Mr. Ramaswamy, are a road to ruin for the GOP. If the government shuts down, should voters blame populist Republicans?
Voters should blame everybody who's in Washington, D.C. They get sent down there to do the job, and they've been failing at doing the job for a very long time. And let's be honest about this with the voters. You know, during the Trump administration, they added $7 trillion in national debt. And now the Biden administration has put another $5 trillion on and counting. They have failed, and they're in the spot they're in now because none of them are willing to tell the truth. None of them are willing to take on the difficult issues. They just want to keep kicking the can down the road. And the inflation that Nikki spoke about is absolutely right, and it's caused by government spending. And that's why people all across this country are suffering tonight. And yet we don't get any answers because Joe Biden hides in his basement and won't answer as to why he's raising the debt the way he's done. And Donald Trump hides behind the walls of his golf clubs and won't show up here to answer questions like all the rest of us are up here to answer. He put $7 trillion on the debt. He should be in this room to answer those questions for the people you talk about who are suffering. And if the government closes, it's the blame. It is to the blame of everyone in Washington, D.C., who has failed to do their job and just plays to the grandstand.
Next question is for Governor DeSantis.
Here's how we get it done in Washington. We must find a way.
There are 3 moderators and none of them are moderating.
Governor DeSantis, you haven't spoken. Please.
The people in Washington are shutting down the American dream with their reckless behavior. They borrowed, they printed, they spent, and now you're paying more for everything. They are the reason for that. They have shut down our national sovereignty by allowing our border to be wide open. So please spare me the crocodile tears for these people. They need to change what's going on. And where's Joe Biden? He's completely missing in action from leadership. And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now. I can tell you this, as governor of Florida, we cut taxes, we ran surpluses, we've paid down over 25% of our state debt, and I vetoed wasteful spending when it came to my desk. And as your president, when they send me a bloating spending bill that's going to cause your prices to go up, I'm going to take out this veto pen and I'm going to send it right back to them.
Ilya, you mentioned me in your question. I just want to address
The question is on the minds of a lot of moms and dads and Americans, and I know that you've been thinking about it because childcare costs, they are up. They're topping $10,000 per month. Some families are spending up to half of their income on childcare, and they're having to decide, is it worth it for me to work, or does it not make sense for me financially? In 3 days, the billions of dollars in pandemic-era funding is going to end, and 70,000 daycares could close. So you had an effort to broaden eligibility for child care assistance. That fell apart last year. And for the moms and dads out there who are worried, What can you tell them if you weren't able to get it through the Congress? How could you do it as president?
Certainly one of the things I did as a member of Congress was to make sure that we protected the Head Start programs around the country, giving people the opportunity to pick and choose the place that they send their children. The challenges that we see today under the Biden administration is that the cost for daycare has gone over $15,000 per child. In the Build Back Broker plan, he called it a Build Back Better plan, it was going up to $29,000. The way we fix that problem is to make sure that we actually cut taxes and give more Americans their money back. When I helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we actually lowered a single mother's taxes by 70% on the federal level. For dual income households by 60%. Then we went a step further. We doubled the child tax credit and made it refundable. By doing that, more parents had more resources to make the decisions how to take care of their family. The one thing we should do is let the American people keep their money. When that happens, the greatest opportunities rise from the ashes.
Okay, we need 15 seconds. Go ahead, and then we're going to the border.
Ilya mischaracterized a part of my view. I think this artificial division is unhelpful in our party. The real divide is not between the Republicans on this stage. And in the Reagan Library, I want to say these are good people on this stage. The real divide is between the majority of us in this country who love the United States of America and share our founding ideals. Free speech, meritocracy, the idea you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character, and the fringe minority in the Democrat Party that has a chokehold over that party. That's the real divide. So this populist versus classical debate is artificial. We need to unite this party.
Can I speak about the administration? I want to answer the question on childcare. We have millions.
Who's moderating the moderators?
Doug is being aggressive.
We're going to come back to you. There's a lot of time.
We're about childcare. Nobody answered the question. In North Dakota, we knew that the cliff was coming. We knew that there was going to be millions of people.
Barreling in there.
Okay.
When we
right now.
We will get you some questions, but you're going to have to let us move on. We are going to the border next.
Childcare is workforce infrastructure.
And I haven't been given a chance to respond.
In 1984, President Ronald Reagan.
Dana Perino should not be moderating this. She's not likable. Oh.
The idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and who have lived here, even though sometime back they
love
may
it. They're
have
already
entered
fighting with the
illegally.
moderators. This is great.
2 years later,
Stuart Barney's like, what the hell am I
President
doing
Reagan
here?
granted amnesty to nearly 3 million immigrants, something no Democrat or Republican president has done since. Governor Christie, as governor of a non-border state in 2010, you supported a path to citizenship. But when you ran for president in 2016, you flipped, saying immigrants should be tracked like FedEx packages. Where do you stand now on a path to citizenship for 11 million of undocumented immigrants?
The problem is that since no one has done anything since we first had this discussion 13 years ago, we're not in a position to be able to do any of that anymore. What we have to do now is first treat this like the law enforcement problem it is. Our laws are being broken every day at the southern border, every day. And Joe Biden and his crew is doing nothing about enforcing that law. They are letting it go. And by the way, they announced during the presidential race they were going to let it go. And we need to have a president who acts like I did as governor, enforce the law first and foremost. And that means what I'll do on day one is sign an executive order to send the National Guard to partner with Customs and Border Patrol to make sure that we stop the flow of fentanyl over the border, but also to make sure that we send a much different message. We want you here in this country to fill the 6 million vacant jobs we have, but only if you come here to follow the law and only if you come here legally. If you come here illegally, we will apprehend you and we will send you back across the border from which you came. And the fact is that until we set a law and order agenda in this country, not only now, but in the future, we won't be able to continue this. And I'll tell you this, Donald Trump failed on this as well. He said he was going to build a wall across the whole border. He built 52 miles of wall and said Mexico would pay for it. Guess what? I think if Mexico knew that he was only going to build 52 miles, they might have paid for the 52 miles.
You feel left hand surgery, dude.
Most illegal immigrants are coming from countries south of the border. You've seen the Fox News drone.
Your mic
It's
is coming
captured
through
the
really
steady
echoey,
stream
Kino,
of people
just so you know.
coming into the country on a daily basis.
It was
In
better
fact,
when
I
we weren't
believe
listening to the
have a live
debate.
picture of it tonight that is happening right now, live.
Oh.
In the last decade, the U.S.
That's
has spent nearly
something.
$55 billion to address the root causes of migration. But crime, poverty, and corruption, they persist, and the number of migrants is only growing. Are we wasting our money?
Well, what happens is when Joe Biden waved the green flag, it told everybody to come. And now we've seen 6 million people cross the border. We've had more fentanyl that have killed Americans in the Iraq, Vietnam, or Afghanistan wars combined. We need to make sure that we are a country of laws. The second we stop being a country of laws, we give up everything this country was founded on. So we have to secure the border. The way we do that is, first of all, defund sanctuary cities. You see what's happening in Philadelphia right now. It's
Thank you, Tom Jay. I appreciate
we
it.
need to make sure we put 25,000 more Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. I spent 400 miles down that border, and I'm telling you, Border Patrol agents aren't allowed to do their job. Let's go back to remain in Mexico policy. Instead of catch and release, let's go to catch and deport.
What about
and
the
let's
aid that what about the aid that federal taxpayers are paying to deal with the root causes? It's not working?
The
Or is
only
it?
aid that we should be spending right now is to secure the border, the southern border, the northern border, period.
You would cut
we
off
need
aid
to
to the
keep
region?
Americans safe. And right now, Americans are not safe. Only when we fix the immigration system, only when we get the border secure, should we ever look at putting any more money into this. Our money should be about keeping Americans safe. We're not doing that. Joe Biden's not doing that. And you mentioned Congress and shutting down government. I'll make it clear. We have to change the budget process in 4 years. In 40 years. Congress has only delivered a budget on time 4 times in 40 years. If they don't keep the government open, they should not get paid. No pay, no budget. That's the way we should.
Governor DeSantis, we have a question for you. Governor DeSantis,
I don't disagree with what she said. I just don't
invested
like her.
$12 billion in Latin America just last year. They signed strategic partnerships with 7 countries, including Mexico. And China's military ties to the region now include arms sales and training exercises. Are you comfortable with China deepening ties with our southern neighbors?
Of course not. And the reason why we're in this mess is because elites in D.C. for far too long have chosen surrender over strength when it comes to the CCP. Some people in our country got rich, our industrial base got hollowed out, and they have been able to build the second most powerful military in the entire world. We need a totally new approach to China. We are going to have real hard power in the Indo-Pacific, like Reagan, to deter their ambitions. We're going to have economic independence from China, where we're decoupling our economy, and we are going to go after the cultural power they have in this country. As governor of Florida, I banned the CCP from buying land in our state. We should do that all across these United States. We shouldn't have them in our universities. We shouldn't have Confucius institutes. So,
well, that's true enough.
You see a country in decline, our power's in decline.
You don't need to mute Kino. I'm just saying it's like echoey. We can troubleshoot on the break.
And if they do that, that's going to affect every single American household. As your president, I am not going to let that happen. I'm going to reverse this country's decline. We are going to choose strength, not surrender when it comes to the CCP.
America is not a country in decline. Under Joe Biden, we are a country in retreat.
You propose, quote, universal deportation for all undocumented immigrants and their children, even if the children are citizens of the United States. Under what legal premise will you expel U.S. citizens?
So the first thing I want to say is I agree with everything. The Republicans on the stage are on the right side of this issue. Militarize the southern border, stop funding sanctuary cities, and end foreign aid to Mexico and Central America to end the incentives to come across. But I do go a step further. You're right about that, Ilya. I favor ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants in this country.
I don't like
now, the
that.
left will howl about the Constitution and the 14th Amendment.
I don't like
The difference
it.
between me and them is I've actually read the 14th Amendment. What it says is that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof are citizens. So nobody believes that the kid of a Mexican diplomat in this country enjoys birthright citizenship. Not a judge or legal scholar in this country will disagree with me on that. Well, if the kid of a Mexican diplomat doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship, then neither does the kid of an illegal migrant who broke the law to come here. And as the father of two sons, it is hard for me to look them in the eye and say, you have to follow the law when our own government fails to follow its own laws. That's how we really go the distance and solve this problem and restore the rule of law in the United States of America, because that is part of what it even means to be an American.
Senator Scott, you oppose.
I know the right's gonna like that. I don't agree with him on that, though. It doesn't turn me on from him. I just don't agree with him.
There's no doubt the fact that when you think of the Constitution and the 14th Amendment, it was certainly written as it relates to slavery, not as it relates to illegal immigration. It's been applied to illegal immigration. So the challenge that we face is, in fact, one that has to do with whether or not the people that come here are under the jurisdiction of our laws. And frankly, if you come here illegally, you are not. Now, surviving a Supreme Court argument is something I can't tell you. But from a perspective of the Constitution, I think it's simple that clearly it was designed for slavery and not for illegal immigration. I'll go one step further, though. When we have a conversation about the things that are happening on this stage, we think about the fact that Vivek just said we were all good people. And I appreciate that, because last debate, he said we were all bought and paid for. And I thought about that for a little while and said, you know, I can't imagine how you could say that, knowing that you were just in business with the Chinese Communist Party and the same people that funded Hunter Biden millions of dollars was a partner of yours as well. It's not nonsense.
So look, here's what I want to respond. These are good people who are tainted by a broken system, and it's not the fault of anybody who's involved.
Some of us are tainted.
Excuse me. Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
You said
if I may finish.
You can't be on both sides.
Gentlemen, you'll have your turn.
One of the challenges.
He didn't get to respond. Let Vivek respond.
This in China.
Shut up, Ron.
If I may
focus on holding Joe Biden accountable. That's what we need to be.
Shut up, Ron.
Speak at the same time, no one can understand
Exactly.
your message.
So if I may, I agree with Ron DeSantis on China. When every other CEO expanded into the Chinese market, you know what I did with my first company? We opened a subsidiary in China. But you know what I did that was different than every other company? We got the hell out of there. And when I started my next company, Strive, right when that's years ago.
2023.
Right when I started my next company, Strive, to compete against BlackRock. Excuse me. To compete against BlackRock, I made a commitment that we would never do business in China. And I will say something.
I think you have more than time to explain your point.
Well, if I was interrupted by a lot of people here, and I want to be respectful because I believe these
you were respectful last debate.
But I do not believe in these. We're sitting here in the Reagan Library.
Yes, I wish you
in
did
the
not
honor of Ronald Reagan's library, if I may. From one admirer of Ronald Reagan to another. From one admirer of Reagan to another, we cannot see.
Oh my God!
Get him, Vivek. Get him. Come on.
Let's have a policy debate.
What's going on?
Let us have a policy debate.
Let's have about their records.
Let's have a policy debate. And the right answer is we need to declare independence from China, and I will see that through.
Vice President Pence, in 2017, the Trump-Pence administration canceled DACA, which put the legal status of 600,000 Dreamers in the hands of the courts. Dreamers work and they pay taxes. As president, if the Supreme Court ends DACA, would you work with Congress to reach a permanent solution for Dreamers?
Well, first, let me say I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal in 2018 in China. That must have been about the time you decided to start voting in presidential elections. So we're nice to have you participating in elections. So let me speak to this issue. Number one, I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy with the Mexican government. We used economic power to bring the Mexican government to the table. We built hundreds of miles of border wall. And despite what's said here today, we reduced illegal immigration and asylum abuse by 90%. And as president of the United States, I can do it again. And the truth is we need to fix a broken immigration system, and I'll do that as well. But first and foremost, a nation without borders is not a nation. And we have to secure the southern border of the United States of America. I know how to do it, and we will do it again. Let me say one other thing about China.
Vice
Let me say one other thing about China.
Would you negotiate with Congress to give a solution to the problem that dreamers have right now. They are on a limbo.
Well, let me tell you, I served in Congress for 12 years, although it seemed longer. But you know, something I've done different than everybody on this stage is I've actually secured reform in Congress. You know, Ron, you talk a really good game about cutting spending, but you've increased spending in Florida by 30%. When I was a member of Congress in 2006, right after Hurricane Katrina, Dana, you remember it, we stood our ground. I led House conservatives. We cut $100 billion out of the federal budget. It can be done, but as I said in the last debate, I'll say again, this is no time for on-the-job training. I'm going to be ready on day one to get Congress to step up, secure the southern border of the United States, build a military fitted to our times, and we're going to get spending in Washington, D.C. under control once and for all.
On the other side of this break, and I propose to go to a break.
Oh, thank God.
How will these candidates make America safer as rising crime plagues our cities? Debate night continues in
Oh
moments.
my God. Pino, what a shit show. What a shit show.
We need a moderator for the moderator's moderator.
I mean, for real, the moderators suck in this debate. Like, they're just letting and I have to say, like, I actually have and by the way, your mic sounds like much better now that, like, I think it's like their bad air, like, sound is like anyway, we're good now. But like, I think like I liked actually that Doug was like trying to jam his way in there to get a question because obviously he needs to have a standout performance. But like Dana Perino, like, actually turned me against her when she wouldn't let him talk. Like, he was already making actually a really good point. He was the only one answering the question that they actually asked. And Dana Perino was just like, nope.
Yeah, it's a mess. In regards to the like auto union strike regarding the batteries and everything, had the federal government subsidize the big three in America.
Mm-hmm.
They were already subsidized with the bailout when Obama was in office. And the only company to ever pay back those said government bailouts and the subsidies was Tesla, because they were a net profit gain. All the other U.S. automakers, whether it be Ford, GM, Chrysler, they'd never turn a profit. They would make a handful of trend vehicles, but they never they never gained a profit. So it's basically a double dip of a double dip of a federal government bailout. Mm-hmm. Why are we supporting this? It sucks because I'm from that region originally. I have family members on strike right now, because they're compelled to, because they're in the union. So
they have
it's a shit sandwich. They have to. It's ridiculous. They're not able to work. They're not getting paid. It's a mess.
Yeah. I mean, what's your impression so far of the candidates in the debate?
You know what? Like you said it best earlier, and I know I said this off camera, off air after the last debate, when MSNBC, CNN, and all these other pro-democratic or pro-liberal media are in favor of a GOP candidate, that should be a red flag. No one has mentioned, including Fox, Vivek on the top 5 runners for leading up to the debate. It's always been about Christie, Pence, and now Nikki for whatever the hell reason.
Yep.
So they're trying, and as you can see by all their tactics, they're trying to strong arm Vivek from speaking. But
that was just sad and pathetic, where they're all speaking over Vivek at exactly the same time and attacking, and like you can't hear anything, and it's like they look like children. They're just like arguing and bickering.
Exactly. This is the establishment trying to strong arm out the independent. And yeah, I'm going to call Vivek an independent. He is an outsider. He's not owned by anyone. That I agree that we're aware of. But these are establishment shills, and they are going up against him, trying to keep him down as much as possible. So it's going to be interesting. He's holding his own right now, but he needs to come out swinging harder.
You could tell he was getting annoyed, though, in that last one where he really had something he wanted to say. And I have no doubt that Vivek has rehearsed this and he has his talking points that he wants to get in because that's just what he does. But he was getting annoyed with like, everyone's talking over me. I can't get my moment because, they're trying to get nice clips for social media and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I don't think that I think it was like, it's obvious that they see Vivek as the biggest threat. I mean, and that's really telling, isn't it? Because DeSantis has basically not gotten a word in edgewise.
And here's the thing about DeSantis. As a Florida voter, I am a resident in the state of Florida. I will shamefully admit this. I voted for him to be governor of Florida, not to further his political career. And that being said, if he happens to be the guy in the ticket, I will not be voting for him whatsoever. I vote for him to do job A, not job B.
All right. Well, we're coming back to the debate. Let's, my computer wants to cooperate and actually allow me to get into the debate here. Hang on. There we go.
I do want to just remind everyone, there's 1 minute for questions, 3 seconds for a follow-up, and the more you mention each other, that means the fewer questions you're going to get. Okay, so we want to talk about crime. This has been a horrendous problem in our country. Fox News and others have been covering it. Governor Christie, crime in major cities is striking fear into the hearts of Americans. Just last night, looters took over the streets of Philadelphia. You said in the last debate that you would use U.S. attorneys to prosecute crimes local prosecutors won't, but they are stretched as well, and they could not handle all of the lawlessness, the shoplifting, all the carjackings, the armed robberies. They're all surging. Progressive prosecutors were elected by their constituents, and they can't be fired by a president. So what would you do to end the revolving door of criminality?
Well, look, Dana, I'm the only one on this stage who's done it. For 7 years, I ran the 5th largest office in this country. At the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey, and we set records for the number of prosecutions that we brought that still have not been broken. And the reason was that we went after the crime that was affecting people's lives. And as president, I will appoint an attorney general and instruct that attorney general that you are to put all the resources that are necessary to bring our cities back under control. The fact is, they will be stretched. There's no doubt about that, but that's what they take the job for, because they love the idea of enforcing the law. We've got to bring law and order back to this country, and not just in our cities, but we need the law and order back everywhere. We need law and order back in our suburbs. People are threatened there. We need it in our rural areas. People feel threatened there, and we need it in Washington, D.C. also. And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
All right.
Oh,
you're a fish up on the scale, dude.
Chris, come on. That was so
cringe. The ability
cringe.
to do that. How do
That
you
was so
think about
cringe.
dealing with the root causes of crime, especially this revolving door of the criminals that just get out and come back and commit another crime?
Well, the crime in these cities is one of the strongest signs of the decaying of America. We can't be successful as a country if people aren't even safe to live in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Just being in Southern California over the last couple of days, my wife and I have met 3 people who have been mugged on the street, and that would have never happened 10 or 20 years ago. In Florida, we back the blue. We support the men and women of law enforcement. They are keeping us safe. We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. And yes, when I had 2 progressive prosecutors that weren't following the law in Florida, I removed them from their post, and the people of Florida are safer as a result of it. As president, I will use the Justice Department to bring civil rights cases against all of those left-wing Soros-funded prosecutors. We're not going to let them get away with it anymore. We want to reverse this country's decline. We need to choose law and order over rioting and disorder.
On a related subject,
Don't tell me he does a pretty ass smile. Take a drink.
Shortage. Retirements are up.
I gotta text Joshua.
Recruitment is in the tank. Morale is at a record low. 3 years ago, you signed a pledge to support law enforcement. Now, pledges are a nice idea, but what's your actual plan to get more police on our streets?
Well, and I actually did it in South Carolina, too. You know, what we knew in South Carolina was you take care of those who take care of you. We have to start taking care of law enforcement, but it's not just taking care of them with words. It's making sure that you also follow through on what they do. Right now, we have a lot of stolen guns on the street. Well, these law enforcement officers, they arrest these people, and then they go and they're let out the very next day. So law enforcement feels like no one has their back. We have to start prosecuting according to the law. We have to make sure we have the backs of law enforcement, and we have to make sure that we're a country of law and order. But I want to go back to China because I don't think we spent enough time on that. Right now, we have to look at what government's doing to hurt us against China, too. You have a company, U.S. Antibiotics, that produces amoxicillin, the #1 antibiotic that we need. And right now, there is a company in Bristol, Tennessee, that produces that. Yet our federal government only gets it from China. We need to be focusing on companies that produce in America and supporting those companies that produce in America, not companies that are helping China.
Governor, we will be talking foreign policy later. Ilya?
Thank you, Stuart. We're going to stay in the topic of crime because it affects all of us. Governor Burgum, for the first time ever, a Univision poll found that mass shootings and gun safety are one of the most important issues for Latino voters. Mental health concerns are not unique to the United States, but gun violence is.
Sorry.
I think he looks dapper.
What is your specific plan to curb gun violence?
Well, first we need to understand is I think that the liberal left seems to be just completely bent on prosecuting law-abiding citizens that are gun owners, because every solution they have to this is take away the Second Amendment rights of Americans, and somehow that's going to solve the problem. But all these cities that we're talking about that you showed the videos of tonight, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. So we know that that's not what's working. What we have to do is get back to the core issues about the family. We have to get back to behavioral health and mental health. We've got to get back to actually enforcing the laws these people talked about. And like we've done in North Dakota, where we've got the goal and we're on the track to being the most military-friendly state in the nation. We've got the most military and the most support of what we're doing in terms of law enforcement, because the morale is down because we've been defunding the police, because they've been attacked in the press. The police have become the bad guys. When
probably the most likable person on the stage right now. All these jobs available in America.
Why would you be a policeman if people don't even respect them? Every time I see a policeman, the first thing I say is thank you. And so does everybody else in my family and most of the people in our state. We have to respect the people that are out there defending us every single day.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
According to Customs and Border Protection, about 90% of fentanyl is seized at official border crossings, and 57% of the smugglers are U.S. citizens.
Oh, this is a softball for Vivek.
How would you stop fentanyl brought into the country, mostly by U.S. citizens, through ports of entry?
There's two sides to this, and we have to be very honest about it. One is we do have to seal that southern border. Building the wall is not enough. They're building cartel-financed tunnels underneath that wall. Semi-trucks can drive through them. We have to use our own military to seal the Swiss cheese of a southern border. But we also have to be honest. There's a demand-side problem in this country, too, a mental health epidemic. I met family in Iowa, two parents, Kathy and Derek. They lost their son, Sebastian, 17 years old. He bought Percocet on Snapchat, and then he died. Why did he die? Because it was laced with fentanyl. That is closer to bioterrorism, not a drug overdose. That is poisoning. So it is our job to make sure that never happens. But it's also our job to make sure that 17-year-olds don't turn to Percocet via Snapchat. We have to bring back mental health care in this country, not with pump and pharmaceuticals, but with faith-based approaches that restore purpose and meaning in the next generation of Americans. Many of them are getting it through social media. And this isn't a Republican point or a Democrat point, but if you're 16 years old or under, you should not be using an addictive social media product, period.
Yes.
This is something that we can both agree on, and we can revive both the mental health of this country while stopping the fentanyl epidemic that will kill more people this year than who died on 9/11. And I refuse to be a passive bystander sitting in the White House like the hollowed out husk of a current president we have. We will step up and address this problem to stand for Americans and our children.
That was great. Don't agree with the faith-based stuff, but like he was pretty good other than that. I don't agree with the faith-based stuff though.
I agree with that. Is why, as Commander-in-Chief, I'm going to use the U.S. military to go after the Mexican drug cartels. They are killing our people. And the stories that I've seen in Florida,
to militarize against Mexico now. Vivek started that.
Rented an Airbnb,
drug wars continue.
And apparently the people that had rented it before were using drugs. The infant was crawling, the toddler was crawling on the carpet and ingested fentanyl residue and died. Are we just going to sit here and let this happen, this carnage happen in our country? I am not going to do that. So I guarantee you on day one, this border is going to be a day one issue for me as president. We're going to declare it a national emergency. Yes, we'll build the wall. We'll do remain in Mexico. But those Mexican drug cartels are going to be treated like the foreign terrorists.
Rottweiler.
Vice President Pence. All right, Vice President Pence. We're going to move on.
Oh my God.
Just last month, Vice President Pence, you said if elected, you would repeal all Obamacare mandates. However, you also made that same promise in 2016. And at that time, Trump-Pence had congressional majorities for at least the first 2 years, and you did not deliver on that promise. So Obamacare, right now, it is more popular than ever. Why should Americans trust you if you become president to fix that, or is Obamacare
That's just
here to
his
stay?
resting Pence face.
Well, first, let me speak to the mass shootings issue, and then I'll answer that question. It's an important one, Dana. Look, I'm someone that believes that justice delayed is justice denied. And as a father of three, as a grandfather of three beautiful little girls, I am sick and tired of these mass shootings happening in the United States of America. And if I'm president of the United States, I'm going to go to the Congress of the United States, and we're going to pass a federal expedited death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting so that they will meet their fate in months, not years. It is unconscionable that the Parkland shooter, Ron, is actually going to spend the rest of his life behind bars in Florida. That's not justice. We have to mete out justice and send a message to these would-be killers.
You're pissed off that someone didn't get the death penalty?
Yes, that's what he's saying.
Fuck you, Mike Pence.
Does that mean Obamacare is here to
What a
stay?
Christian. Oh my God. He's pissed off that someone got life in prison instead of the death penalty.
Well, thank
That's
you
a
for
debate
reiterating
point.
the question, because I'd love to answer it. Look, I think it's one of the choices here. You know, my former running mate, Donald Trump, actually has a plan to start to consolidate more power in Washington, D.C., consolidate more power in the executive branch. If I'm president of the United States, it's my intention to make the federal government smaller by returning to the states those resources and programs that are rightfully theirs under the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. That means all Obamacare funding, all housing funding, all HHS funding, all of it goes back to the states.
Donald
We'll
Trump,
shut down the federal
running
Department of Education. We'll allow states to innovate. We're going to revive federalism in America, and states are going to help bring America back.
Obamacare staying, but Stu, go ahead.
May I remind everyone to keep within their time frame so that we can get as many questions in as possible. This question for Governor DeSantis. Over 26 million Americans don't have insurance coverage. Governor DeSantis, 2.5 million of them are in your state. That's worse than the national average. Can Americans trust you on this?
Well, I think this is a symptom of our overall economic decline. Everything has gotten more expensive. You see insurance rates are going through the roof. People that are going to get groceries. I spoke with a woman in Iowa, and she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm having to take things out of my grocery cart when I get to the checkout line because the total goes up so quickly. So this is very real, and people are hurting out there. So we've got to address the underlying problem with Bidenomics, the overspending, taking all Biden's rules and regulations. I'm going to throw them in the trash can on day one. You're not going to have to worry about that. We're going to open up all of our energy. We will be energy dominant in this country. That will lower your gas prices. And what we need to do with healthcare is recognize our healthcare is putting patients at the back of the bus. We have big pharma, big insurance, and big government, and we need to tackle that and have more power for the people and the doctor-patient relationship.
Governor, why is your record in Florida on insurance worse than the national average?
Our state's a dynamic state. We've got a lot of folks that come. Of course, we've had a population boom. We also don't have a lot of welfare benefits in Florida. You know, we're basically say this is a field of dreams. You can do well in the state, but we're not going to be like California and have massive numbers of people on government programs without work requirements. We believe you work and you got to do that. And so that goes for all the welfare benefits. And you know what that's done, Stuart? Our unemployment rate is the lowest amongst any big state. We have the highest GDP growth amongst any big state. And even CNBC, no fan of mine, ranked Florida the #1 economy in America.
Smile again, third time. That fucking smile.
Governor Haley, healthcare is the leading cause of bankruptcy for American families, accounting for 2/3 of all personal bankruptcies. As president, how you protect Americans who get sick from financial ruin?
First of all, how can we be the best country in the world and have the most expensive health care in the world? We have an issue. My mom was in the hospital, and when she was in the hospital, they tried to bring her a couple of Tylenol, and she said, I don't need it. And they said, honey, go ahead and take it because you're paying for it anyway. Why is it that when we got the bill, the insurance company and the hospital negotiated the bill for her without her having anything to do with it? When I am president, we will break all of it, from the insurance company to the hospitals to the doctor's offices to the PBMs to the pharmaceutical companies. We will make it all transparent, because when you do that, you will realize that's what the problem is. Second thing is you've got to deal with tort law. The doctors don't give you the 10 tests because they want to. It's because of the 90% chance they'll get sued. And then we need to bring competition back to healthcare, get rid of certificate of need systems, and make sure that they can compete. We have to put the patient in the driver's seat. They've been in the back seat for way too long. And once we give the patient the ability to decide their health care, deciding which plan they want, that is when we will see magic happen. But we're going to have to make every part of the industry open up and show us where their warts are, because they all have them, and we need to fix this on behalf of the American people.
And that's what we did.
Do you have a better way in 30 seconds?
Well, yes, we're not talking about the real problem ever. We talk about why do we have the most expensive health care in the world? It's because the federal government got involved the same way they did with EVs, and they said, we're going to subsidize a particular kind of software back in 2008 under Obama. And they said, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to make everyone more productive. All of you that are watching have been to a doctor's office when the doctor's got his back to you and their hands on a keyboard. The only industry in the world that's ever absorbed $1 trillion of IT and became less productive, they saw less patients per day, is U.S. healthcare, because they were subsidizing a certain kind of technology. It wasn't about improving healthcare. It was about picking winners and losers. Every time the federal government's involved, whether it's higher education, healthcare, or now the auto industry, things get more expensive and less competitive.
That was a great transition, because we are going to move on the future of education in America.
Thank
What's
God.
the government's role in finding a way
Thank
forward?
God.
The second Republican debate rolls on from Simi Valley.
All right, let me turn down the
is what we want. And are we doing a good enough job
Leatherface
teaching our
and cheese.
children what America is?
All right, I don't know that we need wisdom from Ronald Reagan right now. I am bored. And I am annoyed. Kino, you know about you come to my community calls, so you know there's nothing I hate more than like people talking over each other. It drives me insane. It like triggers something in my brain where I want to kill people. And like all I'm hearing is like people talking over each other and boring answers.
Yeah, it's just they're trying to get to the root cause of the issues. They're trying to, speak their piece, in a civilized manner. But like you said, there's no entertainment factor. Fortunately and unfortunately, this isn't the WWE. Personally, I would love to see Vivek DDT someone on stage. Do not get me wrong.
I'd love for it to either be Chris Christie or Mike Pence.
Yeah, but yeah, seeing it
would be like when the Undertaker DDT'd Yokozuna.
Any of them. It don't matter. I'm like, just do like get on top of the podium and just drop kick like a motherfucker. I don't care who. But yeah, you're right. It's a snooze fest. Now, Eyebrows on the other hand, when he was talking about the government interference and medical industries and everything, he had a good point. But again, I was half asleep when he was talking because the shit is boring as hell. I'd say it like that, but he did have some solid points. I hate to say it too. Nikki also had some solid points, as well in regards to seniors being taken advantage of while in hospital or in nursing homes. That's an evil trick that a lot of insurance companies do. They'll rack up a bill, or in a nursing home, and they'll bill you to the absolute maximum amount and cash out whenever you pass away or whenever you discharge. That has to be under control.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually disagree with much of what Nikki Haley said. I just really dislike Nikki Haley, and she's a warmonger, and I don't care how nice she tries to be. I mean, I don't even think she's coming across that nice tonight, to be honest. I don't like her, and I would never vote for her, and I don't think other people should vote for her either. Anything that Nikki Haley does that's, like, likable is an act, and I think we all know that. But I will say this, I'm liking Doug tonight. Doug, I think, is doing a good job. I think he's getting in there. He's getting aggressive. He's actually answering the question, unlike everyone else on the stage.
To be fair about the niceness factor of Nikki, the only thing nice about her is really her dress. Everything else is just emotionless. I don't know if she just got like a fresh batch of Botox where she can't really move any other part of her face other than her mouth. but like there's nothing. It's a empty husk of emotion.
Yep. I gotta say, Vivek is coming across as a little robotic. I want to see him like education is one of his main things. I want to see him really hit this section home. If he doesn't, I'm gonna be worried about his performance tonight.
Vivek is the only one, and as well as I know for a fact that when it comes to what's happening in the schools, he's the only candidate with the knowledge on how to properly tackle what's happening in the school system. DeSantis may think he does, but he doesn't. Vivek is the only one that knows how to properly attack what's happening in our school system.
Yep, I believe in him 100%. I hope he's able to actually answer a question without getting interrupted. That would be pretty great. And Mike Pence, I'm sorry, Mike Pence needed makeup. Like, he looks old, he looks haggard, he looks pissed off. I think Mike Pence is going to have a hissy fit at some point during this debate. Chris Christie is not the one I think is going to go off in this debate. I think it's going to be Mike Pence. He's getting annoyed.
Well, the thing is with Mike Pence, he looks like a deflated version of Chris Christie. Which is why he looks so drained, he looks so flappy, he looks so sad and everything. But Chris Christie calling out Donald Trump directly in camera was cringe as hell.
Oh God, it was so cringe. Like Donald Duck. Like, okay, bro. Like Trump probably burst out laughing when he saw that.
I do not disparage the duck like that, first off. And secondly, that's the Don from The Godfather. Okay, you're not going to threaten a Don. So
like
that's
it
all
just
I'm
made.
saying.
Yep. I think they need to stop going after Donald Trump. It's just a bad idea. It's not going to win over any voters at all. Like, it's probably going to make Trump more popular because they keep flubbing on like you're going to call him Donald Duck. You think that's going to win you voters, Chris Christie? I mean, come on.
No, not so, it's not going to win any new voters whatsoever. Again, like when I super chatted in earlier this evening, everyone on stage is fighting for second.
Look at this. Naruto says the Undertaker once chokeslammed my uncle. My uncle was drunk and kept poking him in the back. Well, he got what he deserved then, didn't he?
That is the ultimate autograph right there, too. If I have bruises in the hospital bill because of the Undertaker, that's the hell of an autograph. I hope it's framed.
We are back live
All
at
right.
the Ronald Reagan
We're back.
Presidential Library in the Air Force One Pavilion for the second Republican debate. And let's get back to our questions, Governor Haley. American students, they are in academic trouble. They have lower scores in math and reading. There's chronic absenteeism. That's at record highs. And this has even been called education homicide. You say school choice is the answer.
No.
But South Carolina, your home state, still has not enacted universal school choice. And even the current expansion won't be fully implemented until 2027.
School choice isn't going to fix the problem.
Parents can't wait 4 years for a fix. So what would you do right now?
Well, and school choice isn't the only answer, but I'll tell you it's not out of a lack of trying that we didn't try and get school choice in South Carolina. What I'll tell you, first of all, is we have to acknowledge the fact that 67% of our eighth graders are not proficient in reading or math. Over 80% of our eighth graders aren't proficient in history or civics. And recently they came out and said our 12 and 13-year-olds are scoring at the lowest levels they've been scoring in reading and math in decades. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure we catch our kids back up. We have to make sure they can read. A child that can't read by third grade is 4 times less likely to graduate high school. We need to do reading remediation. We need complete transparency in the classroom. No parent should ever wonder what's being said or taught to their child in the classroom. We need to make sure that we have school choice so that there's competition. We need to move all the programs from the federal government down to the states and let states decide what education looks like in their states. And we need to start building things in America again. Let's put vocational classes back in our high schools and let's get our kids building the things that we know that we can make. When we start to focus on that and really bring in that parental involvement, that's when we'll start to see a difference. But we've got to get parents back included. We've got to quit spending time on this DEI and CRT and instead focus on financial literacy, on digital literacy, and on making sure that our kids know what they need to do.
I wonder if Nikki
to have
can
the
define
jobs
critical race
of the
theory.
next generation.
On the subject of education, a question for Governor Christie. Students in your state are getting high marks on their report cards, but minorities are not doing well with math and reading. Black and Hispanic students averaging 29 points lower than
You're
white
asking a
students
diversity
in New Jersey.
question?
Would you address minorities first?
They're
have to address
asking him
all
about
students. And
equity?
look, in our state, Stuart, frankly, before I was governor, that gap was close to 50%. And what we did was institute more charter schools and more Renaissance schools and more public school choice. in New Jersey with innovative solutions in cities like Camden, where now we took what was the worst school district in America during my time, and we have now increased that by nearly 40% in terms of their proficiency. It can be done when you give people choice. But let's tell the truth to everybody about what this is. This public school system is no longer run by the public. It is run by the teachers' unions in this country. Randy Weingarten and her crew are absolutely strangling. They are taking the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day.
Randy Weingarten is a lesbian.
Inside the White House every day for the worst of their teachers, not for our students to be the best they can be. The President of the United States is to take on the teachers union. I did it in New Jersey, and I will do it as President of the United States.
He's not wrong about what he's saying, though. He's not wrong. Vivek, get in there, Vivek. Come on.
Governor DeSantis, I have a question for you.
Are you guys having trouble seeing me?
Florida's new Black History
Pip
curriculum
Scott,
says,
are you guys having
quote,
trouble seeing me?
slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them?
So first of all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala Harris. We are not going to be doing that. Second of all, that was written by descendants of slaves. These are great Black history scholars. So we need to stop playing these games. Here's the deal. Our country's education system is in decline because it's focused on indoctrination, denying parents' rights. Florida represents the revival of American education. We're ranked #1 in the nation in education by U.S. News and World Report. My wife and I, we have a 6, 5, and 3-year-old. This is personal to us. We didn't just talk about universal school choice. We enacted universal school choice. We didn't just talk about Parents' Bill of Rights. We enacted the Parents' Bill of Rights. We eliminated critical race theory, and we now have American civics and the Constitution in our schools in a really big way, just like President Reagan asked for in his farewell address back in 1989. Florida is showing how it's done. We're standing with parents, and our kids are benefiting.
Senator Scott, you oppose to these new standards. What is your message for Governor DeSantis?
There is not a redeeming quality in slavery. He and Kamala should have just taken the one sentence out. America has suffered because of slavery, but we've overcome that. We are the greatest nation on earth because we faced our demons in the mirror and made a decision. So often we think that all the issues, you talked about crime and education and healthcare, we always think that those issues go back to slavery. Here's the challenge though. Black families survived slavery. We survived poll taxes and literacy tests. We survived discrimination being woven into the laws of our country. What was hard to survive was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money, where they decided to take the Black father out of the household to get a check in the mail. And you can now measure that in unemployment, in crime, in devastation. If you want to restore hope, you've got to restore the family, restore capitalism, and put Americans back at work together as one American family. Our nation continues to go in the right direction. It's why I can say I have been discriminated against, but America is not a racist country. Never, ever doubt who we are. We are the greatest country on God's green earth. And frankly, the city on the hill needs a brand new leader. And I'm asking for your vote.
I'm going to have a question for you, Mr.
Someone give him a Ricola.
Over 10.7 million students in over 18,000 public schools nationwide have the ability to change their identity without parental notification. Governor Christie told Stewart last week that he would pass a federal law to protect parental rights. Would you try to do the same?
I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. I met 2 young women early in this campaign.
On parental rights in schools.
Parents have the right to know. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is? Even New Hampshire failed to actually get past a piece of legislation here.
Yep.
The very people who say that this increases the risk of suicide are also the ones saying that parents don't have the right to know about that increased risk of suicide. And I'm sorry, it is not compassionate to affirm a kid's confusion. That is not compassion, that is cruelty. I met 2 young women, Chloe and Katie, early in this campaign, who are in their 20s, now regret getting double mastectomies and a hysterectomy. One of them will never have children. And the fact that we allowed that to happen in this country is barbaric. So I will ban genital mutilation or chemical castration under the age of 18, and parents have absolutely
would you
the
try
right.
to pass a federal law
Dana,
that says
he answered the fucking
parents should
question.
have that right?
Jesus Christ.
States
Dana
absolutely have
Perino
to
should
follow
never
that
be a
through.
moderator again.
Just to
Stand
follow
for
up on
parental
this,
rights,
because
yes.
you in your state, you do not have a law that says parents can't be notified, but you want to be president. Would you try to pass a federal law to say parents have that right?
I think this is a state's issue, but I do want to say something, because all night long we've been talking about issues about how it's broken in Washington, and I respect all of the people on the stage here for their 100+ years of public service. Thank you. But the reason why we're not talking about education or healthcare or safety being a problem in North Dakota is because we have a business leader. I've got more experience as a business leader than I think this whole group combined. I know I've created more jobs than everybody else on stage, thousands of high-paying jobs that have real meaning. So as a business leader, you come in and you treat the taxpayer like a customer. So in North Dakota, instead of fighting with the teachers' unions, we actually created a K-12 coordinating council. Everybody gets in the room and the customer is the student.
But you do understand that this is an issue that many people in America really are concerned about, worried about parents and notification in schools.
Yes, and that's why we have 50 platforms of innovation. That's why we have states. There are certain things the federal government is supposed to do. It's not the Department of Education that needs to be assembled. We got to move it back to states. Do what we did in North Dakota. Instead of like, oh, here's a choice school and here's an old school, the old way with the teachers union, the kids are trapped. We made every school in North Dakota an innovation school. Every school got out from under the red tape, and the things that help teach the values that we're trying to get, like 4-H, like FFA, like Boy Scouts, they can get credit for all of that stuff in North Dakota. And by the way, North Dakota is now at the top of the median SAT scores in the country right now.
Vice President Pence, the Department of Homeland Security warns that violence against LGBTQ+ people is on the rise and intensifying. According to a recent study, members of that community are 9 times more likely to be victims of violent hate crimes. As president, how would you protect this community from violent attacks and discrimination?
Well, as President of the United States, I'll stand up for the safety and the civil liberties of every American from every background. And I want the American people to know that. But I want to answer the question as well, Dana, that you just asked Doug Burgum. Because by way of full disclosure, Chris, you
interrupt him,
mentioned
Dana.
the president's
Interrupt
situation.
him. Screech at him. He's not answering the question, Dana.
Isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit, I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So full disclosure. Look, education is a state and local function. The state of Indiana had one of the very first school
Why
choice
do I have to think
programs
about
in the
Mike
country.
Pence having sex
And
right
when
now?
I was governor of the state of Indiana.
That's not
we
something I
doubled
wanted
it.
to think about tonight.
And as to your question, Dana, let's
At
be
all.
very, very clear.
We all know they have twin beds
When the
anyway. They
Linn-Mar
don't actually
Community
sleep in the
Schools
same
in
bed.
Iowa had a policy where you had to have a permission slip from your parents to get a Tylenol, but you could get a gender transition plan without notifying your parents. I weighed in with a foundation. That's not bad policy. That's crazy. We're going to stand up for the rights of parents, and we're going to pass a federal ban on transgender chemical or surgical surgery anywhere in the country. We've got to protect our kids from this radical gender ideology.
Notice Dana Perino didn't interrupt
and we've
Mike
got
Pence
to empower parents
when he was answering the
at
question.
the state level
Jesus Christ.
with the ability to choose where their kids go to school,
Of all
whether it's
time for her to
public,
interrupt
private, parochial,
him
or
admitting that he
homeschool.
has sex
You
would have been a
empower
great time for
parents
her to
in
interrupt.
our schools will
She should interrupt him
straighten
then.
up
Yeah,
and
exactly.
reflect our values and focus on the basics faster than you could possibly imagine.
Next subject.
Can I just say one thing?
China is China.
Yes, yes, let him speak. You interrupted him.
Everybody, please lose time. China is investing heavily in their tech companies. $280 billion every year on semiconductor research and development. That is 1 CHIPS Act per year. Governor DeSantis, you say companies like Google and Meta have too much power. Doesn't going after them give China an edge?
No, I think you look at how our societies develop, they have huge amount of power over our society. They've cracked down on free speech. We're not saying you don't want them to do business, but you want it to be a free market. And right now they're monopolies. But this issue of China, I think, is really going to be fundamental. We have subcontracted out so much of our national needs to the CCP. We rely on them for a whole host of issues. We need to reshore and we need to decouple all those important industries. We need to get that back in the United States. They are our top geopolitical adversary by a country mile. Xi Jinping's got huge ambitions, not only in the Asia Pacific, but as you mentioned earlier, in our region. But ultimately, we've got to beat him on the economy. And so that's what we'll do as president of the United States.
Governor Christie, I wanted to follow up on this because 22% of American workers fear their jobs will be lost to a robot. And you said in the past that the free market is the way to go. Would you retrain workers who lose a job to artificial intelligence, and to do what?
Use artificial intelligence.
What I think artificial intelligence offers us is an extraordinary opportunity to expand well beyond the productivity that we have now, and to have Americans be able to be involved in that revolution, Dana. You know, each time we have shown incredible innovation and progress in this country. What we've done with it is to expand all kinds of new, even unthought of opportunities for folks. Yes, we have to do retraining for folks who lose some of their jobs, and we should be doing that. And we should have more training available both at the county college level and the local level for people to be able to access it. So yes, I would be in favor of that. But this is a much bigger issue than that. We can't be afraid of innovation. America has been the great innovator of this world over the last 250 years, a technological innovator, a manufacturing innovator, and a freedom and governmental innovator. And that's why America has to continue to stand strong in the world, pro-innovation, pro-progress. And I will tell you this, as President of the United States, what I will do is to make sure that every innovator in this country gets the government the hell off its back and out of its pocket so that it can innovate and bring great new inventions to our country that will make everybody's lives better.
Mr. Ramaswamy, TikTok is banned on government-issued devices because of its ties to the Chinese government. Yet you joined TikTok after dinner with boxer and influencer Jake Paul. Should the commander-in-chief be so easily persuaded by an influencer?
So the answer is I have a radical idea for the Republican Party. We need to win elections. And part of how we win elections is reaching the next generation of young Americans where they are. So when I get into office, I've been very clear. Kids under the age of 16 should not be using addictive social media. We're only going to ever get to declaring independence from China, which I favor, if we actually win. So while the Democrats are running rampant, reaching the next generation 3-1, there's exactly one person in the Republican Party which talks a big game about reaching young people, and that's me. And let me level with all of you. I'm the new guy here, and so I know I have to earn your trust. What do you see? You see a young man who's in a bit of a hurry, maybe a little ambitious, bit of a know-it-all, it seems at times. I'm here to tell you, no, I don't know it all. I will listen. I will have the best people, the best and brightest in this country, whatever age they are, advising me. We will be probably many of the people on this stage included. That's how I built my companies. I want to be challenged. I want people who disagree with me. That's what makes America great, because we're not a perfect nation. We're founded on the pursuit of perfection. That is what makes America great. And that is why we will end it once we win this election.
I have to jump. I have to jump in here. I'm sorry. I have
They're pissed off. He put TikTok on his phone.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. Because I can't believe that here you've got a TikTok situation. What they're doing is these 150 million
Nikki Haley
people
goes
are on
full
TikTok.
Karen.
That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can
let me
get
just say,
text messages. They can
Shut
get
up,
all
Pro
sorts of
Steve.
things.
This is
China
very important
knows
for our party.
exactly what they're
This
doing.
is very important
and what
for our
we've
party,
seen
and I'm
is
going to say
you've gone and you've
we
helped
should
China
stop.
make medicines in China, not
Excuse me,
America.
excuse
You're
me.
now wanting kids to go and get on the social media that's dangerous for all of us. You
Oh
went and you were
my
in business
God,
with the Chinese that gave Hunter Biden
Nikki.
$5 million. We can't trust you. We
So
can't
let me-
trust
let
you.
me
We
say
can't have
something.
TikTok and
I think that this is very important.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
literally
you have
making a
15
federal
seconds.
issue that that's what
excuse
TikTok
me.
I want
on
to talk to your
fucking
manager.
You have 15 seconds, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Thank you. I think we would be better served as a Republican Party if we're not sitting here hurling personal insults and actually have a legitimate debate
I'm glad
about
you stuck around
policy
to that point
following
today,
Reagan's
because
11th
he wasn't
Commandment in
there
his
4 months
honor.
ago.
And the
Where were you
answer
last
is
debate when
that is what actually makes our country strong. And I believe in these people. These are good people on the stage. They disagree, but let's
Can
have a
any of
legitimate
these
disagreement.
people shut the fuck up?
Stuart, can we get back to the
I
question?
want to
No, we
talk to your
cannot. Governor
manager.
DeSantis,
There's
I'm
one
going
person
straight.
on this stage
Sir,
that has a
we
career
will have to cut your mic, and I don't want to do that. I don't. So, Governor DeSantis, let me go to you. Experts say President Putin has ordered assassinations across Europe, cheated on arms control treaties with the U.S., and seeks to work with China to force our decline. President Reagan believed that if you want to prevent a war, you better be prepared to fight one. Today, the Republican Party is at odds over aid to Ukraine. The price tag so far is $76 billion. But is it in our best interest to degrade Russia's military for less than 5% of what we pay annually on defense, especially when there are no U.S. soldiers in the fight?
It's in our interest to end this war, and that's what I will do as president. We are not going to have a blank check. We will not have U.S. troops, and we're going to make the Europeans do what they need to do. But they've sent money to pay bureaucrats' pensions and salaries and funding small businesses halfway around the world. Meanwhile, our own country is being invaded. We don't even have control of our own territory. We have got to defend the American people before we even worry about all these other things. And I watch these guys in Washington, D.C., and they don't care about the American people. They don't care about the fentanyl deaths. They don't care about the communities being overrun because of this border. They don't care about the Mexican drug cartels. So as Commander-in-Chief, I will defend this country's sovereignty.
But it's not a territorial dispute. It's never been a territorial dispute.
And 90% of the resources that we send over to Ukraine is guaranteed as a loan. It is not 90% of the money that we send over there is loan. Well, we can talk about this, but at the end of the day, 90% of the money that we send over there is actually in the form of a loan.
We're
it's
not
not
gonna get
actually
paid
not
back.
paid by Ukraine. It's paid by the NATO, our NATO allies.
So I think it's
Number
a good
one. Number two,
topic.
I
It's a
think
good
it's a really
topic
good
for
topic too.
debate.
But I will say let's debate the fact that our national vital interest is in degrading the Russian military. By degrading the Russian military, we actually keep our homeland safer, we keep our troops at home, and we all understand Article 5 of NATO.
We have to level with the American people.
I thought you said something about waiting until your turn to talk. So
You've been interrupting him all fucking night, Tim. Shut the fuck up.
I'll be happy to
Go
debate
ahead and
this.
I'll respond.
I'll look forward to this one right now.
Choke
So
slam
at the
him.
end of the day, when you think about the fact that if you want to keep American troops at home, attack on NATO territory would bring us and our troops in. By degrading the Russian military, we reduce, if not eliminate, an attack on NATO territory.
Finish that exchange. We have to level with the American people. We have to level with the American people on this issue. The reality is just because Putin's an evil dictator does not mean that Ukraine is good. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties.
A win
that has
for
actually,
Russia is a
that
win
is not
for
true.
China.
We're driving
a win
Russia.
for Russia
Excuse
is a
me.
win for China.
Excuse me, Nick, you'll have
but
a chance.
I forgot you like China. That's why
you'll have your chance in just a moment.
Yeah.
The hurling personal insults isn't helping. China is the real enemy, and we're driving Russia
glad they had
further
a
into
split
China's
screen
arms.
just then.
We
That
need
was
a
fucking
reasonable
great.
peace plan to end this, especially this is a country whose president just last week
Vivek,
was
if
hailing
you
a
let
Nazi in
Putin
his own
have
ranks.
Ukraine, that's a green light to China to take Taiwan.
We need a
Peace
reasonable
comes
plan.
through strength.
Oh my, Mike Pence goes full fucking
China's the real
warmonger.
Governor Christie,
Where's the bottle?
Governor Christie, President Biden's first 2 years have brought China, Russia, and Iran closer together. Are we focused too much on Ukraine and not enough on this threat from the New World Order?
No, they're all connected, Stuart. They're all connected. The Chinese are paying for the Russian war in Ukraine. The Iranians are supplying more sophisticated weapons, and so are the North Koreans now as well, with the encouragement of the Chinese. The naivete on this stage from some of these folks is extraordinary. Look, I understand people want to go and talk to Putin. Guess what? So did George W. Bush. So did Barack Obama. So did Donald Trump. And so did Joe Biden when he said a small invasion wouldn't be so bad. Every one of them has been wrong. And the fact of the matter is, we need to say right now that the Chinese-Russian alliance is something we have to fight against, and we are not going to solve it by going over and cuddling up to Vladimir Putin. Look, Donald Trump said Vladimir Putin was brilliant and a great leader. This is the person who is murdering people in his own country, and now not having enough blood, he's now going to Ukraine to murder innocent civilians and kidnap 20,000 children. And let me tell you, if you think that's where it's going to stop, if we give him any of Ukraine, next will be Poland. Right. This is a guy who said, wait one sec, this is a guy in 1991 who said that was the darkest moment in world history when the Soviet Union fell. Listen, everybody, he wants to put the old band back together, and only America can stop it. Right. And when I'm president, we will.
Governor Burgum, I want to get to Governor Burgum. He hasn't had a chance. I have a question I think you're going to really like, or at least you have experience in it. And we need to talk about America's farmers, because there is a foreign policy connection here. The U.S. and China are in this fierce economic competition. It's hurting American businesses, and there is blowback against American farmers because China then targets them in retaliation. How would you, as president, protect American farmers and ranchers from that kind of retaliation from a foreign government like China?
Well, first of all, we've got the best farmers and ranchers in the world right here in America. If they have a level playing field, they can outcompete anyone in the world. But this is part of the larger issue that we're talking about here, which is we're in a Cold War with China. The Biden administration won't admit that. But we're also in an economic war through what we're doing with agriculture and energy. And we're also in a war with them relative to cyber war. We get attacked every day in North Dakota, every state, every school district, our tribes, all being attacked every day by either China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea. And now we've got a Biden administration whose whole policy is appeasement. They're out there, creating the world, making it less safe. $6 billion they traded for 5 people. They've just now set a price on anyone's head who's a tourist from America, who's a student from America, for kidnapping. If you want more kidnapping, put a price on it. And then they're also helping Iran get to have more closer to nuclear weapon, which pushes all of the Middle East closer to China and Russia. The whole thing is absurd. And then, of course, we're going to give Ukraine to Russia, and then we're going to give Taiwan to China, and think that's a foreign policy. That will make our nation less successful, make us more poor. And at the core of all that is energy policy, because China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day. They're the largest importer in the world. And we've had 4 cabinet members from the Biden administration there this summer, and none of them talked about U.S. energy. The first one to go to each of those countries was Kerry, to talk about the folly of the climate policy, which is making the world less stable. It's empowering dictators. It's not about climate change that we need worried about. It's about the Biden climate policies that are actually the existential threat to America's future.
Thank you.
The next talking points.
Mexico's president called who supports sending U.S. military into the country, quote, scoundrels. Mexico is the United States' most important trade partner and border security. You say you will send special operations to attack the cartels in Mexico. So this means boots on the ground, drone strikes?
It means special operations. It's how we deal with our terrorists. And what you need to do is understand that Mexico's not being a good partner if we lost 75,000 Americans last year. Mexico's not being a good partner if they're letting the cartels get away with what they're getting away with. What we will do is we will make sure that we send in our special operations, and we will take out the cartels, we'll take out their operations, we'll take out anything that's doing it. But we're going to go after China, because China is the one sending the fentanyl in the first place. And we will end all normal trade relations until China stops sending fentanyl. And then we'll do the special operations, and we'll get it from both sides. This is where President Trump went wrong. He focused on trade with China. He didn't focus on the fact that they were buying up our farmland. He didn't focus on the fact that they were killing Americans. He didn't focus on the fact that they were stealing $600 billion in intellectual property. He didn't focus on the fact that they put a spy base off our shores in Cuba. They didn't focus enough on the fact that all of our law enforcement drones in America are Chinese, and we've got all these these little surveillance cells. We need to start focusing on what keeps Americans safe. That hasn't happened in a long time. As your president, I will make sure every American is safe, and we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen.
All right. I want to get to Senator Scott. You're all auditioning for the job as president of the United States. You want to earn these votes. But the world's problems land in the Oval Office. During the presidential debates in the year 2000, neither Al Gore nor George W. Bush was asked about Al-Qaeda. Yet, just 1 year later, Al-Qaeda's attack on September 11th claimed nearly 3,000 lives. And the farther we get from September 11th, the closer we are to September 10th. Senator Scott, you have no executive branch experience. What has prepared you to protect the nation from a major man-made national security crisis?
One of the things I've had the good fortune of doing is serving on committees in the United States Senate, like the Senate Armed Services Committee. I'm on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, also on the Finance Committee and the Banking Committee. Talk about addressing the issue of fentanyl. I've written the legislation, passed it through the Banking Committee and the Senate that would freeze the assets and sanction the accounts of the Mexican cartels. There are weapons that we have within the arsenal that I was able to get past 23-0 in the polarizing Senate as it is. I've also understood without question the fact that if you look at the details before 9/11, there was information and intelligence that was available that suggested an attack was coming. Having the right intelligence partners with us is key to making sure that we prevent the next 9/11 from ever happening. Having that experience for the last 10 years is really important in getting the job done.
30 seconds to you, Mr. Pence.
Well, I think you asked a question about executive experience. I think it's vitally important. And I stand before you today as a candidate for president because I think this country's in a lot of trouble. And you hear the fire on the stage tonight. You hear the fire in all of our voices. And it's because Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. This is a time for those of us that have the experience, the tested experience, and a commitment to the conservative agenda that Ronald Reagan brought forward in this party of a strong national defense, standing with our allies, standing up to our enemies, supporting limited government and traditional values, need to step forward.
Understood.
Because frankly, our party does face a time for choosing, as they said at the top of this debate, whether we're going to stand on the foundation of that conservative agenda that Ronald Reagan poured, or whether we're going to follow the siren song of populism unmoored to conservative principles. I'm the most experienced, most qualified, and most consistent conservative in this field, and I'm ready to lead America at home and abroad on day one.
Time for choosing to go to a break. Ilya.
We need to go to a commercial break where Reagan built a coalition that lasted decades. Can any of these candidates do the same? We'll take that up when the debate continues.
I have to show you this.
What you got?
A guy I'm following on Twitter just posted a video of fucking DeSantis getting his makeup done during the last break. Hang on, I just retweeted. I need to get it on the screen.
All right, hang on.
Dana Perino is the most annoying person ever. Like, seriously, fuck Dana Perino.
Is that the blonde one or the?
Yeah, the blonde one. I mean, they're all annoying. This is like the worst debate moderating team in like history. I don't even know what the hell they're thinking. But look at this. Look at this. Hang on, let me see if I can make it bigger.
Oh, Jesus.
They're doing Ron DeSantis' makeup.
Oh, dear God.
I mean, come on. Can we just leave that playing for just like a minute? I just need to go. I need that to be on loop for just a second. Nikki Haley's not even getting her. What did you think about Nikki Haley going full Karen? I was like, Nikki Haley started screeching or something at Vivek. Like, I don't even know what the fuck she was complaining about.
She was yelling at Vivek like a white Karen would yell at a cell phone salesman. I want to speak to your manager. Mentality behind it. And like I said before, her face was so emotionless due to botulism poison. The only thing was able to move was her mouth, as I mentioned earlier. But like, they just want to continue the war on drugs in Mexico, Central and South America. I'm like, This shit is ridiculous.
I mean, it's like, does she really think that Vivek Ramaswamy having TikTok on his phone is like the end all be all? And I'm sorry, I thought Vivek answered that question well. He was like, you know what we need to do? We actually need to win an election. Can we please win an election? Can we do something to win an election? And they're like, no, fuck you, Vivek. You're letting China win. It's like, what are you talking about?
So here's the thing regarding to Vivek, regarding one of the Paul brothers regarding trying to do a viral TikTok video. Like Clinton going on Arsenio Hall back in the early 90s, Vivek gets the younger demographic. He understands how the younger voting pool votes and interacts on these social media platforms. Is it a sad fact that China owns this platform? Yes. But who was to say that that was his cell phone? That could have been Jake Paul's cell phone for all we know.
I mean, do you really think that Vivek doesn't have like 5 different cell phones? Like, I mean, of course he does. Of course he does.
Like, the dude is a tech genius. He doesn't have. I'm trying not to dismiss it like the way I am, but he ain't got nothing to worry about. Now, in regards to the original question, should TikTok be on federal devices? Absolutely not.
No. But Vivek Ramaswamy's like 5th cell phone is not a federal device. It's like probably something they just were using to screw around. Like,
yes.
Like, there's nothing important. Like, he's not going to put that. It's just it's so stupid. And let's just say, for argument's sake, that Vivek had TikTok on every single phone that he has. It's still not going to solve the actual effing problem.
And it doesn't answer the original question. Should TikTok be on federal devices? And the answer is no.
No.
No compromised software will be on any federal or third-party devices that works with the federal government. Period. And they try to make they're trying to make something out of nothing here. On my bottom line, he's winning with the younger voters. They're not.
Well, it looks like they're about to come back. My opinion so far is that Donald Trump is the winner of this debate. No one is winning tonight. Literally, no one's winning tonight. Like, honestly, like, you know, even like I like Vivek, you guys, but I don't think he's winning tonight. I'm sorry.
Josh
He's doing good. I don't think he's doing bad, but it's just like he's not winning tonight.
He's not as aggressive.
Republican primary debate here at the Reagan Library. We've got a lot more issues to cover and a lot more questions to go. So let's dive right back in. We're here in California, where gas is nearing $6 a gallon. Oil is close to $100 a barrel again. You say, drill, baby, drill. But the courts won't let you. Mr. Ramaswamy, how would you bring down prices without immediate drilling?
Well, look, I think that
That's
we
like,
do
I'm gonna
have to
drill,
run
mother
through
effer.
the courts and get through that administrative state to make sure we're using the natural resources here at home. But here's the other thing that we can do that's easy.
Forever, Mr. Ramaswamy.
And it addresses the national debt as well as brings down prices. Put people back to work. We are using taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home than to go to work. That is wrong. That contributes to our supply chain crisis. It contributes to inflation. That's the easiest way to unlock this economy. And here's the other thing. We have to put the Federal Reserve back in its place. This is an agency that has gone rogue. So in January 2026, when I have the opportunity as our next commander-in-chief, we will have a new chairman of the Federal Reserve who places priority on dollar stability. And then most importantly, send packing 75% of the administrative state, reduce the federal employee headcount by 75%, rescind 50% of unconstitutional federal regulations that are shackling businesses, both large and small. I've offered a very clear, practical plan to do it. That's how we unleash the economy. That's how we revive the integrity of a 3-branch constitutional republic rather than this technocracy and aristocracy in the administrative state.
Response, please.
I think one of the signature accomplishments of our administration was in just a few short years, we achieved energy independence. We became a net exporter of energy for the first time in 75 years. But on day one, Joe Biden declared a war on energy, which was no surprise because when Joe Biden ran for president, he said he was going to end fossil fuels. And they've been working overtime to do that ever since. If I'm president of the United States, we're going to open up federal lands. We're going to unleash American energy. We're going to have an all of the above energy strategy. And I have a plan that actually would not only reclaim energy independence, but in 2006, America lost our position as the leading energy producer on Earth. I believe in the next 10 years, with the right policies and experienced leadership in the White House, we can reclaim our role as the leading energy producer on Earth, and that'll grow the American economy for generations to come.
Governor Haley, reaction to that,
As the
please.
only person who's leading an energy state, could I answer the energy question?
No, Governor Haley.
So, the first thing I'll say is what I saw at the United Nations is energy security is national security. We need a president that understands we have to partner with our producers and make sure that we have their backs. What you don't need is a president who is against energy independence. Ron DeSantis is against fracking. He's against drilling. He's been against, you did it. He always talks about what happens on day one. You better watch out, because what happens on day two is when you're in trouble. Day two in Florida, you banned fracking, you banned offshore drilling, you did it on federal lands, and you took green subsidies that you didn't have to take.
Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned. You have the right to respond. 30 seconds.
Yeah. I just did a plan out in West Texas for American energy dominance. We're going to choose Midland over Moscow. We're going to choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs, and we're going to choose Bakken over Beijing, and we are going to lower your gas prices. We are going to get that job done because it's important for our national security, it's important for jobs, and that's one of the best ways to drive down inflation.
Governor DeSantis, Governor DeSantis,
Governor
DeSantis, this question is for you.
Our voters enacted a constitutional amendment.
You banned it before they voted.
No, it's not true.
You banned it before they voted, and not only that, they didn't vote on fracking.
Totally wrong. They voted it in. That's what we did.
Shut up, Meg.
Onshore, we do it in Florida. We don't have as much as maybe West Texas, but we do it. But that was a constitutional amendment. So that's just wrong. And let's just get real here. My plan will get the job done. We are going to be energy dominant, and that's what's going to happen.
And the voters didn't even vote on fracking, and you banned
We are
fracking.
moving on with this question for Governor DeSantis. Governor, excuse me.
Oh my God, shut up.
Respect each other's time. My apologies for that.
I'm ready, Stuart.
Governor DeSantis, this is your
Like
question.
everyone's yelling, and the debate moderator is
The Biden
like,
administration
my
is
apologies.
hell-bent on student loan forgiveness.
Oh, here we
but
go.
you say colleges should be on the hook when graduates cannot pay their debt. How does that address the cost of college? How does that the cost of college itself?
Because the colleges are going to have to make a decision. Do we expand the gender studies department, knowing some of those graduates may not have great learning opportunities? No, they're going to focus on the things that really matter. They're going to make different choices. They're going to try to graduate people in 4 years. I also just want to come back to something Dana asked last segment about 9/11, because I was just at the 9/11 memorial with the families. My wife and I were invited. It's very touching to be there, and it affected my life because I ended up joining the military as a result of that. I had been a blue-collar kid, minimum wage in Dunedin, Florida.
They interrupted the back when he
Yale and
changed the
Harvard
subject.
Law School, and somehow came
Like, why
out
does
more
Ron
conservative
DeSantis
than
get
when
to
I
change
went
the
in, and that is
subject?
not easy to do. Had a lot of opportunities to make money, but I wanted to serve, and I'll never forget coming back on the plane from Iraq, landing in Coronado, California, North Island, and feeling that breeze off the Pacific Ocean and say, you know what? I am lucky to
Why
have
isn't
been born
anyone
an American.
interrupting him?
And
Oh,
I
because
think
they
being
want
able
him
to serve,
to win.
and I'll be the first
Because they
president
want him
elected
to
since
win.
1988
That's
who's
why
actually
Fox
served
News isn't
overseas in a war.
interrupting Ron DeSantis,
I think that's going to help
because
me
they
as commander in
want
chief
him to
know
win.
how you see these issues and understand that there are real lives at stake for people that wear the uniform.
And we know that Governor Haley's husband is serving right now as well, and we thank him for that. Senator Scott, the national debt has nearly doubled in your time in office. The approval rate for Congress is at a mere 19%. If this were a business, you'd probably all be fired in Washington, but you're here tonight looking for a promotion. In 2013, Governor Haley hired you for the Senate. I'd like you to tell her why you should be promoted to CEO of the nation instead of her.
Certainly. One of the things I'd say is if you look at our national debt of $33 trillion, I would love to have an opportunity to have this country pass a balanced budget amendment. That would constrain the spending in Washington in the same fashion that it does in every state in our nation, number one. Number two, If you want to actually reduce our national debt, you have to grow our economy. In order to grow our economy, you need to create about 10 million jobs to grow our economy at 5%. You can do that in 3 specific sectors. Number one, the energy sector. We could create between 3 and 3.5 million jobs if we unleashed all of our energy resources. America is we're the richest country if you combine coal, gas, and oil. Why not unleash all of our resources? Number 2, we've lost 100,000 factories. 100,000 factories in the last 25 years.
Yeah,
if we continued on my Made in America plan, we could bring jobs back to America in a similar fashion that we did when I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We actually lowered the corporate tax from 35% to 21%, reshored or repatriated $1.7 trillion. We brought the unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians to the lowest level in the history of the country, and a 70-year low for women.
Governor Haley, would you think you would deserve the promotion over him?
Look, I appreciate Tim. We've known each other a long time.
Not one
but he's
mention
been there
tax
12
cuts.
years and he hasn't done any of that. He hasn't. They've only given 4 budgets on time in 40 years. He was part of that. He increased the national debt. He voted for the spending.
You voted
he has made sure that the borders are open and they haven't
Tim Scott is looking weaker than Nikki Haley. I'm sorry.
12 years. Where have you been? Where have you been, Tim?
I voted on most of those things.
We've waited and nothing has happened.
Here's what you've done.
I mean, Nikki Haley's being a right cunt, but like Tim Scott looked weaker than Nikki Haley. I'm sorry.
I wanted to say that earlier, but I was trying to be polite.
I'll say it. Nikki Haley's being a cunt.
Big fights.
Thank you.
And has delivered big victories for the people of Florida. And that's what it's all about. You can always talk, but when it gets hot in there, when they're shooting arrows at you, are you going to stand up for parents' rights, keep the state free? Are you going to be able to do all those things? And in the state of Florida, because of our success, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. We have won the big fights. We have turned our state into a Republican state. People respond to leadership.
Oh, you're
I've done it all of
Which is what I think we need. If I may just briefly
interject here.
We need zero-based budgeting. That's the way businesses are actually run. Start with 0 as the baseline for the budget and then see what's actually necessary. There isn't a blue state or a red state in this union that does it. The federal government doesn't do it. But successful companies, including the ones that I've built as a CEO, will do it. And I think we need a CEO in the White House to get that done.
Governor Burgum runs
You didn't ask the only guy that's been attacked. You have energy questions. You don't ask anything. But I'm just going to say right now, when you say nobody else has done it, the energy plans that have all been announced in the last month by these other folks on stage, we're already doing it in North Dakota. The border plans they're already talking about, we've got troops down at the border flying helicopter missions from North Dakota, from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop transnational criminal organizations from inflicting the invasion and the mass casualties in our state. And on the energy policy, we're already doing it. And it's not saying when nobody else done the big fights, North Dakota was leading the charge. We won the battle to get the Biden administration, who was ignoring the law. They were the first administration since Truman that wasn't holding the quarterly required lease sales. And we won that in federal court. WOTUS, we won that in federal court. We're fighting the Biden administration on 20 fronts. To say that nobody's fighting the big fights, just look at the record of what we're doing right now. Energy, economy, national security, have been talking about it since day one, and now finally good, we're having the conversation about it, but we've got the answer in North Dakota.
Governor Burgum, let's talk big government. This question's for you. Big government keeps getting bigger. 1/5 of all new jobs this year have been created by the government. Governor Burgum, you say you want to shrink the size of government, but it has been a century since any president has done that. Why would you be any different?
Well, because we've done it in North Dakota. When I took office, we shrunk the state budget general fund by 27% in the first 4 months I was office, and all the trains still running on time. Why? Because you had a business leader that was actually there. Inside of every government job, there's 10 or 20% of mind-numbing, soul-sucking work that even the state and federal employees don't want to do, and you can engineer that work out of the job. That would free up right there 20% of 2 million civilian employees. And by the way, we've got 10 million jobs open. They'd have plenty to do, and they could be generating taxes instead of being paid by taxes. This is totally possible to do it if you have somebody that understands, because having worked in technology for 30 years, everything we had to do was to be better, faster, and cheaper the next day. That's what we can do in government. That's what we're doing in North Dakota.
All right. Governor DeSantis, I want to ask you about something that I think is on a lot of Republicans' minds. This election could come down to less than 50,000 votes in 3 states. Abortion was on the ballot in 6 states in 2022. Republicans lost all of them. Next year, abortion will likely be on the ballot in Arizona. That is a must-win state. Governor DeSantis, how are you going to win over independent, pro-choice voters in Arizona?
Same way we did in Florida. We won the greatest Republican victory in a governor's race in the history of the state, over 1.5
You don't have
million
COVID
votes.
this time,
we were
Ronnie.
winning places like Miami-Dade
have
County,
COVID
Palm
this
Beach, that nobody
time.
thought was possible because we were leading with purpose and conviction. I reject
COVID
this
is the
idea
only reason
that
he had that victory in
pro-lifers
Florida.
are
I
to
think we all
blame
know that, right?
for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that. The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining
Donald
his
Trump is the
comments
voice of
to try to
reason
say
on
that
abortion.
pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing. I want him to look into the eyes and tell people who've been fighting this fight for a long time. My wife and I earlier today were at the gravesite of President and Mrs. Reagan, and I noticed that there was a quote where it says, "Every single person has purpose and worth." We're better off when everybody counts. And I think we should stand for what we believe in. I think we should hold the Democrats accountable for their extremism, supporting abortion all the way up until the moment of birth. That is infanticide, and that is wrong.
Let me ask Governor Christie.
Nothing burger.
Governor Christie, do you think that Republicans...
Yes, I will.
Okay, Governor Christie, do you think that Republicans can do that in Arizona if this referendum is on the ballot there?
No.
Yeah, because I did it in New Jersey, Dana. It's...
Then why are all these other states losing?
Well, because they don't have leaders in those states who are leading the fight the way it should be led.
Are you
and
serious?
the fact is, look, I was a governor here of the only blue state that's represented up here. This is where the fight is really tough for Republicans.
What are New
and
Jersey's
those are the
abortion
states
laws
that we're
again,
going to have to try
Chris?
to win if we're going to win the White House
Because it ain't no
back.
6-week heart
And
week,
what
Bill.
we did was 14 times, Dana, in 8 years, I vetoed Planned Parenthood funding. 14 times.
That's not the same as a
No one else
heartbeat,
gets it
Bill.
that much. The
That's not
Democrats
the
just
same
kept
as
sending it to
banning
me, and I
abortion.
kept saying no because I believe in life, but I also believe in states' rights. And I think we fought hard against Roe versus Wade for
Real
decades
abortion
to say
bans
that
have never
states should
been
make
tried.
these decisions. So we're going to have those fights in the states.
Put down
Which
your
needs a
shirt.
leader who
Yeah,
can
for
talk to
real.
people and make them understand that if you're pro-life, you have to be pro-life for the entire life, not just the 9 months in the womb. And we talked a lot about fentanyl tonight, and we haven't spoken one moment about treatment. But we need to make sure that for the drug-addicted 16-year-old on the floor of the county lockup, her life is precious too. And we need to be providing treatment to cure this as a disease that it is. If you're pro-life, you got to be pro-life for the entire life. We start talking like that, they're going to do what I did in the blue state, which was get reelected with 61% of the vote and won 70% of independents and 51% of Latinos because I told them the truth from my heart.
Thank you.
Vice President Pence, the latest Univision poll found that 73% of Latino voters think the Republican Party doesn't care about or is being hostile toward them, the Hispanic community. Only Governor DeSantis has translated his campaign into Spanish. How will you reach out to Latino voters?
My God.
Well,
Are
I
you
promise you that
shitting
we're going to
me?
continue to build bridges.
Are you going
every
to translate
community
your campaign
in this
into
country.
Spanish?
And I'm incredibly proud of that tax
Thank you
cut
for
and
that
tax
hard-hitting
reform bill. I
question,
worked
Fox
on
News.
Capitol Hill to help get that bill passed into law, the largest tax cut in American history. We saw literally the lowest unemployment ever recorded for Hispanic Americans, the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans, 50-year low for women. So I think the President of the United States needs to be a champion for the American dream for every American. It begins with the unborn and the aged and the infirm. And it begins with every ethnic group in this country. And I promise you, if I'm President of the United States, I'll be a champion. I'll be a champion for the American dream, for Hispanic Americans and for every American. So help me God.
Senator Scott, reaction?
That didn't answer the question.
There's no doubt that if you lead by example, it's the best way to get the job done. If you look at my office in the Senate, my chief of staff is the only Hispanic female chief of staff in the Senate. I hired her because she was the best, highest qualified person we have. What we need are leaders who lead by example. And I will simply say, I would love to finish my conversation with Nikki as it relates to the job that needs to get done. Nikki offered a 10% 10-cent gas tax increase in South Carolina. Talk about someone who
Why isn't Dana
has
Perino
never
interrupting
seen
him?
a federal dollar she doesn't like.
Dana Perino only interrupts
10
for Vivek
cents on
Ramaswamy.
a gallon in South Carolina. As the UN ambassador, you literally
Bring it,
put
Tim.
$50,000 on curtains in a $15 million subsidized location. Next.
You got bad information. First of all, I fought the gas tax in South Carolina multiple times against the establishment.
He walked right into it there.
Just go to
And you
YouTube
want to know
for
what that
yourself.
He
tells
walked
us?
right
When
into
they
it.
wouldn't pass the gas tax, the establishment and the companies wanted me to do it so much that I said the only way I will
Here's
pass
what you
it
have to
if
do.
you will
All
give
you have
us
to do.
three.
All you
excuse
have
me,
to do is go
if you will
watch
give-
Nikki Haley on YouTube.
Yes.
If you will give me 3 times the deduction in income tax, then I will look at your gas
So you
tax,
said
which
yes,
is why it didn't
you would
happen.
pass. Exactly, Ron.
Secondly, on the 50 million.
Here is a nice part.
Secondly, on the curtains, do
Nikki
you
Haley
know
is the
Tim,
new
because
Chris
Obama
Christie.
bought those curtains
Did you
and
send
it-
them
That's a
back?
tweet.
It's in the press.
Did you send them back?
It's
Oh,
the State
Jesus.
Department.
Did you send them back?
you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
Oh my gosh.
You get it
You
done.
hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed up at the
Someone
residence.
Photoshop
If you
Nikki
were
Haley's hair on
scrapping,
Chris
if you were
Christie's
scrapping,
head.
excuse me, if you know I fought
Here's a fact.
taxes.
Here's a fact, though.
I cut taxes. I loaded up our
You wanted
coffers.
a gas tax increase, and then you wanted
So Vivek's just raising his hand like a good student.
Like this. In fact, we're about to take a commercial break.
Oh,
We'll have
thank
more of the
God.
second Republican debate live from the Reagan
How much of
Presidential
this shit
Library
show do we have
in just
left?
a few moments.
Do we have like 8? Is this ending at 11? Please God, let this be ending at 11, because this is truly and sincerely like the worst goddamn debate I've ever seen in my life. The
I hope it goes
moderators,
in overtime.
the
Just for the misery factor alone.
God, the moderators are so bad, and the questions are so bad, and no one's saying anything interesting, and like everyone is talking over each other, and like Nikki Haley's being such a bitch, and it's like why?
Nikki's like the spoiled rich kid brat from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I want it now. No. I want it. It's just, oh my.
She is. She's so. Nikki Haley is definitely the most annoying person in this debate. But honestly, like this is not good. And like I don't like I know I said like Vivek's not winning, but like I don't even blame him, because like everyone's talking over him and not allowing him to actually answer any questions. I think that Doug Burnham probably has had the best night, honestly. I mean, like, I actually think he's come across as, like, the most likable person. Chris Christie is predictably horrible. Tim Scott looks weak. Mike Pence looks awful. Like I mean, like everyone just, like, Ron DeSantis is, like, I mean, I don't even, like, have any mind for Ron DeSantis at all, to be honest with you. I mean, I think someone said in the chat earlier, Ron DeSantis looks a little gay. And yeah, I would say that. Like, Ron DeSantis looks a little gay, and I'm not sold on him at all. I think he looks like Ron DeSantis is coming across as, like, such an establishment shill right now. It's not even funny.
You know what? You can blame the military attack for that one as well too. But it's a cluster. Like honestly, other than the American people losing in this debate and Trump's winning in this debate, I honestly feel bad for Stuart Varney. I think he's just there for the overtime, to be honest with you.
Why is he even a moderator? Who the fuck even is he? Like, I don't know. I know I don't watch Fox News, and maybe he's on Fox News. I don't get it. But like, who is he? Why? Like, he can't be up this late. It's almost 11 o'clock at night.
Like Stuart Varney is more of a business analyst for Fox Business Network in regards to stock. He was always a stand-in for Rush Limbaugh whenever Rush was out. He's a really good commentator. He knows his stuff when it comes to like money and economics, though. But
he's not a debate moderator.
It's ridiculous.
And Dana Perino, I'm sorry, like Dana Perino's always been annoying, but Dana Perino has ascended to like new levels of annoying that I didn't even think were possible. Like she's flat out debating some of the candidates. It's like, Dana, shut the fuck up. You are not in the debate. You are supposed to corral these people. You have one job. You are failing in that. And not only are you failing in the one job that you have, but you're interrupting candidates when they're answering questions because you seem to think that they should be debating with you.
You know, I'm trying not to be biased here, but damn it, Carlin, it's your show. Vivek is, out of this group of candidates that we're dealing with, is the strong candidate, and they're stonewalling him.
Yeah, they're stonewalling him. Absolutely.
Flat out. Like, don't get me wrong, you know, DeSantis had some good points, but he's been weak in other points. I don't want to disparage or dismiss the other candidates though, but they're boxing him out from scoring a goal at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, because they're all
the
afraid of
bias
him.
is showing.
Oh, 100%. And Dana Perino's one doing it too. Like all of them. Like she has interrupted Vivek at least 3 times in this debate as he's been answering a question that she asked him. And it's like, yo, like, but did she interrupt Ron DeSantis? No. Did she interrupt Mike Pence? No. Like, and both of them went completely off track of the questions that they were actually asked. So it's very obvious to me that like the establishment pick in this, and I don't think this should surprise anyone, is Ron DeSantis. They all want Ron DeSantis. They're all blocking and covering for Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is getting softball questions. When Ron DeSantis doesn't answer the question, there is no pushback, even though she's interrupted Vivek repeatedly when he's been answering the question that she asked him. It's just like, it is so obvious what's going on, and it's really aggravating. Fuck News, seriously.
Yeah, and they're also using Tim Scott as a distractionary measure as well too. My Dana is basically the reverse. Like who's that guy, John Walsh or whatever? You know,
yeah,
at the last moderator or the presidential debate with Trump versus Biden. Is, you know, like instead of like the Fox News anchor, you know, like helping out with Biden, she's helping out with DeSantis. So it's another moderator sabotage here.
Yeah,
like,
typical.
the only one that's not really invested is really Varney. He's just doing his job.
He's ready for bedtime. All right, let's end this nightmare.
Back to the final minutes. I could go another hour, but we only have a few minutes.
Lena, shut the fuck up.
It's now obvious that if you all stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination.
Yep.
None
He's
of you
going to
have
win
indicated
anyway.
that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you.
Oh, you got kidding me.
This is fun at least. Okay, I can get behind this. Yes.
I think CBS going to sue somebody.
Write down a name, Ron. Exactly. You're telling me you guys want to be president. You can't write down a fucking name. You are all weak. You are all weak if you can't write down a name.
If I may, let me ask you something. Yeah. Then if you won't answer that question, let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
They're all
What
weak.
is your mathematical path,
Yes,
Governor DeSantis, in order to try to beat President Trump, who has a commanding and enduring lead in this race?
So polls don't elect presidents. Voters elect presidents.
Right.
And we're going to take the case of the people in these early states. We're going to do it in a state-by-state direction. And why? Because as Reagan said in his day, this is our time for choosing. We are not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. Republicans have lost 3 straight elections in a row. We were supposed to have a red wave with inflation at 9%. It crashed and burned. Not in Florida, it didn't.
Because
we delivered
of
it in Florida.
abortion, Ron.
And so we've got to choose right. We've got to win. And we need somebody that's going to be able to serve 2 terms. So in January of 2023, they'll be able to address the nation saying, we turned the economy around, we secured the border, and we fended off the threat from communist China. As your president, I will get that job done.
Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something. Governor Christie, I believe, excuse me, Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something on the card. Who was it?
No, but I'll certainly tell you. Look, I think I've been the only one on this stage who's been clear about this. I vote Donald Trump off the island right now. And the reason I vote him off the island, because you know what? Every person on this stage is showing respect for Republican voters to come here to express their views honestly, candidly, and directly, and to take your questions honestly. I have respect for every man and woman on this stage because they've done it. Vivek, put your hand down for a second, would you? I still got time, dude. So chill out. Here, look. This guy has not only divided our party, he's divided families all over this country. He's divided friends all over this country. I've spoken to people, and I know everyone else has, who have sat at Thanksgiving dinner or at a birthday party and can't have a conversation anymore if they disagree with Donald Trump. He needs to be voted off the island.
Chris, you don't
and he needs to be
understand
taken
you're
out of this
fighting.
process.
This is proof Chris Christie has no idea what he's fighting.
15 seconds.
Here's the thing. Look, I have a different view on this. I think Trump was an excellent president, but the America First agenda does not belong to one man. It does not belong to Donald Trump. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, the people of this country. And the question is, who's going to unite this country and take the America First agenda to the next level? When we rallied behind the cry to make America great again, we did not just hunger for a single man. We hungered for the unapologetic pursuit of excellence. So yes, I will respect Donald Trump and his legacy because it's the right thing to do. But we will unite this country to take the America First agenda to the next level, and that will take a different generation to do it.
That does it.
All right, Vivek got the last word at least. Good for him. That was awesome. That was good. That was good. I will give him that. Vivek snuck right in there.
Candidates, we've loved having you here tonight, and we will see you out on the campaign trail.
Have a great evening. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't really want to do any post-game analysis because that was so goddamn painful that I just don't know if I can do it. I don't ever want to think about this debate again. This debate was awful. This debate was like, I have never watched a debate that I've hated more in my adult life.
Is like, in regards to the analysis, I'd rather stick a toothpick in my big toe under my, the toenail and kick a wall. This was a disaster. Fox clearly showed its bias. They didn't even let all the candidates on stage have a final word whatsoever. And I'm glad that Vivek muscled in his final word before they decided to cut cameras.
Mm-hmm.
This is ridiculous.
Like, in what universe do you have a debate where you don't give all the candidates like a closing statement? And it's not like Fox News had no control over this. Like, they could have gone over the 11 o'clock hour. Fox has, like, networks have truncated shows before. Networks have gone over time before. Like, if it's an important, like, it's like, if you screw up on the timing of things, fine. But it makes no sense to not give everyone a closing statement.
Yeah. Like, who knows? Like, it's their network. They can, it's their show. They can, you're absolutely right. They can control the time slot.
Mm-hmm.
It's heavy-handed. Like, we'll see what happens. In regards to performance, who do you think came out on top?
Donald Trump. I mean, to be honest, like, I really do think that. And like, and listen, I meant what I said. I think Doug Burnham actually did a decently good job. I like that he muscled his way in there. I think that he was easily the most likable person. I think had Vivek gotten a chance to actually talk without being interrupted by another candidate or the moderator, there's no doubt in my mind that he would have nailed a few things. But I'm gonna be honest, and like, I love him. I adore him. He's the only GOP candidate I will vote for. He was looking a little robotic tonight for me. He was looking a little too rehearsed. It was like not personable. And so if I were to give him any criticism, I would say like Vivek is so far, like, is so many light years smarter than every person on that stage. It's not even funny. And I would really like next time to see his intelligence shine through rather than just his ability to like memorize talking points, because there's no doubt that he can do that. We know he can do that, but I want to see like the mop the fucking floor with all of them level of intelligence that he has.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you 100%. I want to point out a comment. I've been reading the chats in here.
Mm-hmm.
Reagan says, I think Josh was pretty accurate analysis this time around. Yeah, absolutely. Like, Vivek came out with the first debate swinging hard and strong. And you're right. This time felt a little bit more rehearsed, a little bit more under control. And that's where his downfall was. The fact that he gave these bastards an inch, they all took a mile from him.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I think Tim Scott looked incredibly weak in this debate. Again, I was disappointed because I don't think Tim Scott is like a bad guy, but he is a horrible debater. This is just like 2 debates in a row where like he didn't show up, and like, I'm sorry, like he walked right into a fight with Nikki Haley and then he lost the fight to Nikki Haley because Nikki Haley was like massive Karen tonight. Like, she was awful, completely unlikable. But I'm sorry, like Tim Scott looked so weak next to her that I don't know, like, I can't take him seriously. Like you want to put him at a table with like Xi Jinping? I don't think so.
No, I would have put anyone at the table with Xi Jinping whatsoever. Like, Tim Scott, to me, like I mentioned earlier, seemed like more of a distractionary measure against Vivek, to basically have him be distracted while he's addressing him, while not able to answer a question, forcing the moderator's hands to move on to the next question, thusly to the next candidate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean, Mike Pence was just like, he was like just like a non-starter, like at all, basically. I mean, again, he looked awful. Like the natural light that was coming in did not suit him at all. And I'm sorry, it does matter, even though we watched a video of like Ron DeSantis getting makeup put on and he looked like a soy boy. And I didn't think Ron DeSantis was anything to write home about either. Like Ron DeSantis, I would have the same criticism of him that I have of Vivek, which is Ron DeSantis is looking incredibly rehearsed. Unlike Vivek, though, Vivek actually knows what he's talking about. Ron DeSantis, I'm starting to actually question if he actually knows what he's talking about or if he just literally reads the talking points that he's been given on cue cards to rehearse with.
Like, again, if DeSantis actually did his job as governor of the state of Florida, he would have a better grasp of what's happening in the schools in his own state versus him furthering his own political career.
I agree.
As mentioned earlier, Vivek is the only one candidate on stage that has a firm grasp of what's actually happening. And I wish that he would have mentioned a number of other different stories of what's going on in schools and how it's affecting kids, how it's affecting families. But he failed to do so, not by his own fault, but he was just a strong man not to. He was silenced by that.
He was silenced by the moderators. He was silenced by the other people. And, I mean, this is his problem. He's got to figure it out. Like, and this is the result of him doing so well in the first debate that everyone had knives out for him in this one. And I have no doubt that he's going to go back and he's going to regroup and he's going to work through some scenarios and he's going to figure out how to tackle this problem next time. But like, it was not so good this time. Hang on. I just want to take this super chat from Naruto. If tonight doesn't show people that DeSantis is the establishment candidate, then nothing will. That, I think, is the clear takeaway of this debate is everyone at Fox News is on the shill for Ron DeSantis bandwagon to the point where they're like lobbing him softball questions or letting him talk about whatever he wants. It's like, yo, could you guys suck the guy's dick a little bit harder, please?
No comment about fellatioing a governor of my state. All right. It was embarrassing as all hell. I have to give DeSantis credit for having a military, tack on stage. It is rehearsed, it is stiff, it is lifeless. But that also goes for all the other candidates on stage, with the exception of Vivek, because of how old they are. Yeah, they may have all this experience though, but they are so out of touch. They kept on referring to Reagan. I'm like, those old tricks are not going to work on a new puppy. I hate to say it like this. Like, the times have evolved. We need a candidate that can evolve with today's time, not from the days of old. It's not going to work. These people don't understand that.
Yep. It's true. Well, I think I've said basically all I have to say on this debate, Kino. Do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap it up for the night?
No, thanks for inviting me on and allowing my shenanigans, and it's been fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. You're always welcome on the stream. You know that. Just let me know, and I will gladly send you a link. I'm just going to take you off of the screen and do a little bit of a wrap-up, okay?
You got it. Good night, everyone.
Cool. Good night. All right, guys, that's all we have for tonight. But I do want to remind people that tomorrow I will be doing a supporter exclusive spy stream infiltration instead of my main stream. We are going to get started around 4:30, 5 o'clock ish, but you have to be a supporter in order to get access to this. So how it's going to work is tomorrow I'm going to send out links to people who are supporters on my Substack, in my locals community, in my Patreon, Twitter subscribers, and YouTube channel members. And you're going to get to come with me and do a private infiltration of a live woke training. I'm not going to tell you what it is, other than I will say it does have to do with trans rights and alt-right fascism. And so that's your clue for the night. But it's not going to be an all-day one like last week's. It's going to be a couple hours. It's going to start round about 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish, and it's going to end round about 9:30-ish. And we're going to infiltrate a live woke training, and it's going to be super fun. So how you get access to that is by heading over to my Substack, Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, signing up for $8 a month or $80 a year. You can also, like I said, sign up in my locals community, Patreon, Twitter, YouTube channel membership. I do prefer the Substack of all the different places, though. So if you have to choose, that would be the one I would choose. And I also want to encourage everyone please take advantage on the Substack of this new video vault that I'm building, which has clips, specifically like of Spy Stream, or excuse me, of Socialism Saturday, breaking down the far left ideology, explaining different aspects of it to you. People have been asking me for shorter clips, so not only am I doing them on my YouTube channel now, they do live here as well, but I'm also putting them on the Substack in a separate category, which hopefully will make it a little bit easier for people to find. And of course, we got lots of other great stuff going on the Substack as well. So you guys are the ones that keep me in business. I am completely funded by you. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do. I really do appreciate it. And definitely make sure you check out that clip I posted today about how socialists plan to have kids after they abolish the nuclear family. Because if you think you understand dystopia, I promise you, you have no idea. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up for the night. I'm sorry for no post-game analysis, but I think we've all suffered enough tonight. I will see my supporters tomorrow for Spy Stream. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your night. And